Rain coming in here, right arm over from the Lumley end, and this is played past square leg, well down behind square leg. Jones comes in to collect it, 1 run for Coles, he moves on to 12.
The other interesting point is the point around T20s. I mean, John was saying when he was here yesterday, the Sussex chair, the amount of money that Sussex lose through not having T20s.
Yeah. He said that they made £100,000 a match, didn't they, in the T20?
Yeah. So I think that, and John was talking about red lines and areas which would be non-negotiable. But if there is a body behind this, would Sussex have to say, well, we're not prepared to accept this, but we might accept some reduction? I don't know. I don't know where that compromise will be. He did
say the current schedule is unworkable.
He did say that.
And then he said, and so are Andrew Strauss's plans.
He did, yeah, and that's the headline on the BBC website today.
This is played away up to mid-on by Haynes. Alex Stewart was interesting. He said Surrey were one of the original teams who didn't want the franchise tournament. They voted against it. They couldn't see any need for it because they sell out on a Friday night for their T20s and they make a lot of money. They also are a very wealthy club. But he said that other clubs eventually were persuaded to vote for it because they were going to get £1.3 million. And he said they've basically voted to give away August to the ECB every year.
No, they did. Yeah, that's exactly what he said.
As Rain comes in and bowls this one, dot ball. Now this takes me back to when they were trying to muscle this thing through, and Durham's financial situation came to light the year they were trying to get this whole franchise thing up and running, and Durham ran out of people to turn to, and eventually the ECB said, well, we will help you, but there will be consequences, and they took Test cricket away from Durham, and then they were left with 8 Test venues, and look where all the franchise teams ended up, at those venues. Rain bowls, this is cut hard past point. That's a nice shot there from Haynes. That's 4 up to the pavilion boundary. And speaking to people who were involved in what was going on back in the day, the underlying message generally was clear. They pointed at Durham and said they've got themselves in trouble. There are a few other of you who are on the brink, and unless you vote for this new system and a new way of bringing money in, something radical, then counties will go to the wall. So Rain comes in and bowls, defended, it's gone up to mid-off. No run there. And what time is it? It's 12 minutes to 11. 11 minutes to 11 now. It keeps changing every minute. Last ball of the over. I think the stream might not actually be in existence.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I've had a message through from Randy Baldwin who says what's happened to the live stream.
We're definitely there on the BBC website because I checked that earlier.
Good news.
Last ball of the over. Round the wicket comes Rain. And this has gone down towards backward point to Maddinson. No run there. End of the over, 33 for 4. Ian emailed yesterday, but we never had the chance to read this out because we were off air by then. He said, I was listening to you and Adrian earlier today, but it was quite busy around me, so I couldn't quite exactly hear what was said. And he was asking about who was going to be on at lunchtime, right? That was, that was the Sussex chairman came on, didn't he?
Yes, that was John, yeah. So Sussex have battled through this morning. Some good shots by Tom Haynes. He's on 17. James Cole's on 12. These two come together when Sussex were in a real pickle on 6 for 4.
Sam tells me the stream is up and running. I haven't been able to get it.
Well, in goes Matthew Potts running in bowls to Coles, who's forward and plays to mid-on. And there is no run, fielded by Ben Rain. There are 4 slips, a cover point, mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket, and a fine leg.
He said the stream is up and running. There was a slight issue with connecting to the ECB website, which feeds via YouTube, but that now seems to be working, apparently.
Good. That's good news.
The ECB again, eh?
It's Potts in again, bowls, and Coles is right in behind that, plays to extra cover, and there is no run. Matthew Potts wants a change in the field. I think he wants a short leg in place, or certainly a shortish mid-wicket. There's no helmet being called for, so Yeah, he's bought the third slip out. So there's just going to be the 3 slips now, or maybe 2 slips in the gully. We'll keep an eye on that. But he's bought a fielder across into mid-wicket. Sean Dixon, who's come in there. So just the 3 slips in place. There's Potts in again to James Coles, and Coles is forward. Don't know where he got hit there. He's sort of limping away, James Coles. I don't know whether he got hit up on the thigh somewhere, or either way, he looks a little uncomfortable as he wanders away to square leg. Just 18 years of age, James Coles. 3 18-year-olds in this Sussex lineup. Charlie Tier, the young wicketkeeper making his debut, he's scheduled to come in next, although I don't know whether Fahim Ashraf, who's playing his second game for Sussex, may come in as a more senior player. We shall see. Certainly Charlie Tier batted very nicely in the first innings, but one of 3 18-year-olds, James Coles. In comes Potts, bowls. Coles lets that go. Well taken down the leg side. Tumbling save by Chris Benjamin. And there is no run.
Anth Graham's emailed. He says, "Morning, Marty." He said, "I was working just down the road on the coast at Teesside yesterday and until about 1 p.m. and there wasn't a single drop of rain, which was very frustrating because I was forced to listen to Fletch at Glamorgan instead." He said, "Anyhow, I've bitten the bullet and I've joined Durham for next season at the early bird price of 200 smackers, which is surely a bargain and my own tiny show of support for county cricket as a whole."
In comes Potts and bowls, and Coles forward, placed to mid-off. There is no run.
He says, "I really hope the ECB don't get their way for the red ball restructure of 2024. He said, "I find it crackers that it hasn't occurred to them England are doing just fine under the new captaincy, and by reducing red ball cricket to improve red ball is a nonsensical idea. It might even be called a paradox. As for the prioritisation of the 16.4, I have no words," says Anth.
Potts. Bright sunshine away from us, in and bowls to Coles, and Coles clips this nicely through the onside and picks up a single to deep square leg where Maddinson feels. Coles pinches the strike. He goes to 13 and Sussex to 34 for 4. So having lost those 4 wickets for just 6 runs, something of a recovery here by Sussex, and Coles and Haynes doing their best to take this as deep as they can. For the visitors having a little natter in the middle of the pitch.
Stephen says, "I'm not happy with the Strauss proposals and the reduction in county cricket games. Will our membership fees go down as a result of this? And I wonder what the average county players think of this." Well, the Professional Cricketers Association says the players are behind it because they want fewer games. They claim they play too much. They're roughly playing half the overs they used to do in 1991 across a season. Rain comes in and bowls. Forward comes Coles and defends. Is that Coles?
Yes, it is Coles. Yeah, it is Coles.
Anyway, he says, "I was impressed with Durham's positive display on the first 2 days. Great bowling and helpful conditions, and then attacking batting on day 2. Potts has been my player of the year, followed by Michael Jones. Good to see Nick Maddinson play a really good innings, but it just hasn't really worked out for him. Thanks for the great coverage," says Stephen. Rain once more up to the stumps and bowls. Ball trickles past him up to mid-off. No run there. Paul Bennett's been on. Please don't say rain's coming. Yeah. He said, "I agree on the remarks about the farcical proposals for future cricket." There were plenty of people on Twitter yesterday saying that they just wouldn't bother renewing their memberships. Rain in. It's defended on a length.
Interesting that Benjamin's standing up here, Martin, to Ben Wren. He just bowls that nagging length, doesn't he? He gives very little away. I've been impressed by Benjamin's wicket keeping, actually. This is his debut, yes, since he's came on loan. Well,
Yeah,
I presume with the Ollie Robinson signing, that's all it's going to be.
Yeah. He's at Durham Uni, wasn't he, Ash? Yeah. Rain in. Flicked away. Out towards deep mid-wicket. That might go for 4. I'm trying to see where the rope is here. It has gone for 4, I think.
No, it's just going to be cut off.
Where's the rope? Can't even see the rope over there. Where's it gone? There's a grass grown round it or something. They ran 3, did they?
They did. They ran a
2.
couple because that was James Coles who clipped that one away.
Even in the binoculars, it's very difficult to see the rope over there. It sort of cambers away from us. It's a leave, very tight the line of offside stump.
Good leave, wasn't it?
Off stump.
If you lose your off stump, it's not so clever, but can't have missed by that much.
I'd put out a question yesterday asking people for positives in recent years in terms of the county cricket. What positives do they think have come from the ECB? One suggestion: women's cricket exposure and more professional contracts through the 100, which not directly related, I know, to county cricket, but one positive from the franchise. That was one response. In comes Rain. This is played up to mid-on. No run there. Another one of the positives could be when this gets voted down, that might be the end of that, and the process has engaged county members as a collective like nothing else has before. Another, I can't think of any positives. And then it lists a number of former England cricketers who've decided the only purpose of county cricket is a supply line for England. They entirely fail to understand that to millions of cricket followers, county cricket is entirely valid and hugely valued in its own right. For instance, Somerset fans would give up any number of Ashes victories for a single county championship title. Probably the same at Glamorgan as well, it says.
In goes Matthew Potts, bowls to Tom Haynes, and Haynes is forward, plays down the offside of the track. There is no run. Sussex 36 for 4 here. They haven't lost a wicket so far this morning on a lovely sunny day in the northeast of England. If you've just joined us, a very good morning. Welcome to live cricket on the BBC, BBC Radio Sussex, BBC Radio Newcastle. Adrian Hunt, Martin Emerson on the final day of this match, the final day of cricket for the season here at the Riverside, and it's going out in beautiful weather as Potts runs away from us with 3 slips to bowl to Tom Haynes, and Haynes clips this down to fine leg and picks up his 18th run. Sussex to 37 for 4, having at one stage in the 14 balls we had yesterday slumped to 6 for 4, so something of a recovery.
The next bit of this email, which I think resembles something you were saying a little bit earlier, Adrian, convinced the ECB plan is to concede counties their 14 blast games, but in exchange for them accepting the cut in championship games on the basis that when it comes to the crunch, money will always trump other considerations.
I wonder whether that might be something that is a red line, that might be the compromise. In comes Potts again, steaming in, bowls to Coles, and Coles clips this through square leg. He's going to pick up at least one. A very good bit of fielding down at deep fine, but not before Coles comes back for a second run. Who's that fielding all the way out in the distance? That was a good stop, a sliding stop. Deep back good square. Oliver Gibson making...
Got number 73 on his back.
Yeah, I could see that now.
Porterfield.
Yeah. I remember watching that. I'm old enough to remember, and the Jim Montgomery save as well.
Was it a coloured telly or a black and white?
We used to go to our neighbours who were the only people in the road who had a coloured telly, but I think that what final we watched at home, I think, so it had been black and white. In comes Potts, bowls up on his toes, is Coles, plays into the offside, there is no run.
So for those watching in black and white, Sunderland are in red and white stripes.
Yeah. The funny thing was that our neighbour said they had a coloured telly, the only ones in the street with a coloured telly, so we used to go and watch it, but my father, God bless him, used to like watching the football and listening to the commentary, and the neighbour used to like chatting all the way through the match, and it used to drive my dad mad, so Dad would rather watch it on black and white and just sit there and watch the game. That's what he liked to do.
It's like being in our house.
In comes Potts. He bowls to Coles, and Coles is forward, plays to backward point, and there is no run.
A corking moment this morning, Adrian. Just when we're all about to leave the house, the noise of "oh no," and then the sound of what sounded like thousands of ball bearings cascading across the living room floor. Somebody had knocked a whole box of Cocoa Pops off the table, and they were everywhere. You couldn't get near them for standing on them to try to
they'll be
brush them up.
They'll be under the fridge for years, Martin.
So having spent months trying to get rid of all the mice, they'll all be back tonight, feasting on the Cocoa Pops.
In comes Potts and bowls, and Coles. That's a nice looking shot by James Cole. That's probably the best shot that he's played. It was slightly over pitched outside the off stump. It's driven away through the offside. Long chase back. That's Jones, and he doesn't make it, and that's a good shot by James Coles, the best that he's played. He goes to 17, and Sussex go to 43 for 4. In fact, he goes to 21. I do apologise.
This is a partnership as well, which is much needed from a Sussex point of view.
Yeah. No,
43.
Lovely shot. Just actually looking at some of the results from yesterday. Warwickshire losing.
37, by the way. I've got to do an update in a second. You're all right. You've got a couple of minutes.
I was going to say Warwickshire in the relegation places, county champions last year.
Durham thrashed them here,
and they're in trouble because they've got one game to play. I think they play Hampshire in their last game, so county champions could be coming down to Division 2.
New over about to begin. England are playing Pakistan again today, the third T20 from Karachi.
That's today, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Rain round the wicket here, turned away by Haynes quite late down a fine leg, and it's going to go for 4 just to the right of our commentary position. I was reading somewhere yesterday the security project for these series of games, the armed guards, the armed buses, the escorts. I reckon it's costing about £500,000 for England to be playing in Karachi this week.
Well, it sounded like a huge. I mean, I was just listening on the radio, but it seemed to be a really vociferous and big crowd, I'd imagine. I mean, I think it's terrific England are playing cricket in Pakistan, and looking forward to the Test series as well. But that is some chase, isn't it? 200 without losing a wicket. And in terms of Mohammed Rizwan, was one of the overseas signings that Sussex made this season, so he was here for the early part of the championship.
Bowled against Durham.
Yes, he did.
They used 9 because he took the pads off, didn't he? Another ball. Here's Rain round the wicket now, and then an attempted cut there from Haynes. He went down on one knee, looked to go hard at that one, and played and missed.
Yeah, that's. You've said it a lot of times. That's Tom's shot is through backward point, but there are occasions when the ball is a little too close to him and it's not the shot to play, and he'll have known as soon as he played that shot. Just wandering around at that old square leg, just trying to compose himself. Didn't need to play that shot. But it's just good to see Tom get a start here. Let's see if he can build on it.
In comes Rain. Pulled out through deep mid-wicket and away for 4 to the Castle stand. Maddinson was quite close in there. He leapt, but he couldn't get near it. Just goes over the rope now.
50 up for Sussex, or is that? Yes, yeah. 50 up. Oh, smattering of applause. I'm surprised how many people are here, actually, Martin. I expected to see virtually, but maybe being the last day's cricket, people thought they'd come along, and
it's a long winter ahead.
It is.
Sun didn't come up till about 7 this morning. Equinox, we're at equinox. Equal day and night.
We are. Yeah, so we start to lose light quickly now.
About 4 or 5 minutes a day now. It's all rather depressing.
It is.
But enjoy sunny days like this while you can.
Yep. Well, you might get some sunshine in Nottingham next week.
Update now. Well, they haven't taken a wicket this morning, or have they? There's a big appeal here, not out, it says the umpire. They did get 1 wicket in the 14 balls possible yesterday before it hammered it down. So Sussex started this morning. They were 9 for 4 and still 288 runs behind Durham's first innings total. This is Sussex's second innings as well, and they can only defend 9 wickets because Henry Crocombe won't be able to bat because of an injured shoulder. They are, though, 51 for 4, and they've got their first decent partnership on the board as well. Out there at the moment, Tom Haynes, the skipper's on 26. At the other end, James Coles is on 21, and these two have put on 45 of 60 balls. Commentary on the BBC Cricket website and the sports app. Raining again. That one's played a short mid-wicket, no run there.
I've had a couple of emails in this morning, Martin. Sean Sullivan's been in touch. Hello, Sean. He said, good morning, chaps. A lot of rumours about what's gone wrong at Sussex. Appear to have no head coach in charge at present. Matt Pryor and Chris Adams appear to tweet cryptic tweets about what's going on. Do you think there'll be a bit of change over the winter, both in terms of playing personnel and coaching? He says maybe even a new season. I have no idea in terms of changes, Sean. But certainly there's a lot of talk on social media, and I saw the tweets from Matt yesterday.
Rain bowls. This has gone off down towards fine leg for 1 run by Haynes.
The over 52 for 4. Haynes on 27. Coles on 21. I guess all you can say is that in terms of progress, I think the feeling would be in terms of Sussex that there has been progress in the batting. It wasn't evident here in the first innings, but certainly I think you'd have to say with Tom Alsop scoring 400s, the development of Ali Orr, who's showed himself to be a multi-format cricketer, not just red ball, but the 50 over and the T20. I think they've been huge positives. Tom Clark has scored a couple of hundreds in the championship. Tom Haynes has been a little out of sorts in recent weeks, but started the season with a bang. So I think in terms of the batting, there's certainly been improvement, and I think the Grant Flower effect that speaks for itself. So the problem all season, Sean, has been Sussex's inability to bowl sides out. Some of that is because of injuries. As in comes Potts running in and bowls, and Haynes is hit on the pad. That looks to me like it was going down the leg side, and there is no run. Potts looks at Haynes as if to say, "Oh, you're lucky there," but that looked like it was going down. But I think injuries haven't helped. They brought in Stephen Finn, who's played very, very little first-class cricket for Sussex, and the bowling has been a problem. It's as simple as that, and that for me is an area where Sussex must address in the winter. They're having a look at this game at Fahim Ashraf, who it's difficult coming over in September, but whether he's the answer. Potts in bowls, and Haynes is forward, plays to mid-on, and there is no run. I'm not sure, but Sussex needs someone who's going to be here a good part of the summer, and a good recruitment is key. I was looking at Surrey and Dan Worrell. What a good signing that's been for Surrey. He's not classed as overseas. He plays in every format. He's always fit, and he's done really, really well. That's the sort of player you've got to look at. I think this conveyor belt of people coming in, particularly in the T20, it's not for me. In comes Potts, bowls to Haynes forward and plays to mid-on. But in answer to your question, Sean, I'm sure there will be lots of rumours, and there always are when sides aren't doing it. And even actually at this time of year, there are rumours around. I mean, there was some are true, some are false. There was a rumour here early on in the week about Ollie Robinson. I think some people in the know here knew that was going to happen, and that has now been confirmed. But it's that time of year, and when you've had a poor season, I think those rumours just grow and grow. So we'll have to see.
Phillips emailed, and he said he used to work here.
Potts bowls. Ooh, Haynes, that's not a great shot, and he knows it, Tom. It was a good delivery by Potts, a bit of extra lift. It rattled through into the gloves of Benjamin, but Tom Haynes was playing it, and he's just rehearsing the shot. He didn't need to play. It was wide of the off stump.
He says, I used to work at the box office at Gate 2 in Durham before the revamp, and on match days your commentary was always useful to me, because although I was only a couple of 100 yards away from the action, I rarely saw any of it. We've now moved to Leicester following lockdown to be closer to our children and grandchildren, but in the last year I've seen more cricket thanks to the YouTube stream than I did in the 14 years I worked at the club.
Potts in bowls, let go by Haynes, taken by Benjamin, no run.
And he said, we'll look forward to hearing you in 2023 when hopefully the team will be more successful. Have a good weekend, says Phil. Thanks for that, Phil.
Leo in Lewis has been in touch. The Lewis bonfire must be looming Lewis, I would imagine, which is always a big event in the town. He says, unfortunately, the commentary is a few seconds ahead of the pictures, which is a bit frustrating. Coles has shown what a prospect he is in the last couple of games. He now talks about the proposals as in comes Potts running away from us. Bowls to Haynes. Haynes is forward and beaten. Matty Potts looks well. I don't know whether he got a little nick on that, Tom Haynes. It wasn't taken cleanly by Chris Benjamin. I wonder whether that was a drop. Or whether, I mean, the slip cord didn't go up.
Moved a lot, that one.
It did. I wonder whether he was just beaten.
I think so.
Benjamin sort of does a 5 high with Matthew Potts. We think Tom Haynes might have had a life. Difficult to see from here. He was on 27 at the time, and was there a drop behind by Chris Benjamin? My feeling, because the slips didn't go up, that maybe it wasn't. But we stand to be corrected. Just picking up what Leo says, having started watching Sussex in 1974, I am too doubtful if it will be worth renewing membership should the proposals go through. I'll read more in a minute.
Ben Rain, 52 for 4. Oh, wait, that's hit the keeper on the toe, I think.
Ouch.
I was like, hit his finger end. What's it gone? He's gone down on his haunches. Was it finger end or toe?
Oh yeah, it's his finger. He's dropped his glove. Yeah, it's his left hand, I think.
It bounced down into the ground and then seemed to rise up sharply and whack him on the end of the finger.
Leo goes on to say, one problem is that if the format and calendar changes virtually every year, then casual and regular spectators have no reference point and the sport becomes more meaningless. Nobody knows where they stand. He says, thank you for your efforts this season. It's a great email, that, Leo, and I'll pick up on it perhaps at the end of the over, so as not to interrupt Marty, but there's some good points in there.
England won the World Cup in 2019, and the previous 4 or 5 years was always about England winning the World Cup. This is defended. That's the way the structure we had. The One-Day Cup was at the start of the year. Earlier in the season, then they win the World Cup, and basically 50 over cricket in this country is now just become an afterthought, hasn't it? Chucked under the bus, a second-rate competition hidden behind the 100. So the next World Cup, where are we now? 19, 20, 21. So the next World Cup's not far away, and most of the top players in this country have not been playing 50 over cricket for the last 2 years. That's a way down towards fine leg. It's gone 4 byes.
It's gone for 4 byes. I thought we got a nick on that.
Yeah.
Did James Cole?
There was a noise there, wasn't there?
Yes. Or certainly leg byes, but no, straight past keeper Page, who's just looks a little troubled here. He's taken off his right glove again, Martin. Let's see if he's okay.
Partnership there.
He's not going to stand up for the stumps anymore. He's decided that he's well batted, these two, because I did fear this morning as to where Sussex would end up, but these two are showing some resolve and fight, which is good to see.
71 balls for the 50 partnership. Rain comes in. This is defended.
But the point about the schedule, I think, is really well made, Leo, and not least because I think I was saying earlier in the week I was at a wedding at the weekend, and a lot of lads there who play cricket, club cricket, village cricket, love cricket, go to test matches, and we were talking about the One Day Cup final, and most of those lads who were there wasn't even aware the One Day Cup final was on, and that's not their fault. It's because the schedule is a mess and nobody knows quite when these games are, and I think you've got to get back to the heart of the true of cricket fans so people know when these games are.
Well, last year Durham won the semi-final on a Tuesday and played in the final on a Thursday in Nottingham. Leading edge, this has gone to point. Madison collected it and went along the ground. Bernard's email, he says the ECB proposals from Strauss is the latest idea to reform a schedule that has been disrupted by one competition called the 100. And it's not brought the TV viewers it promised. I hope some sense can be knocked into this suggestion because it stands as it stands. The supporters, it needs to pass. Doesn't quite make. Not quite sure what he was. Last bit of his comment was there is that rain bowls. Doesn't quite scan for me. Email wearecricket@yahoo.co.uk. That's the end of the over. That was a dot ball. Just defended and back towards the bowler.
Benjamin's been in touch. Hi Benjamin, he says, hi Adrian, hope you're well and Sussex can somehow save this game, although I feel that's rather unlikely. I don't know if you have the connections, but the stream and the commentary are out of sync, so if you could let the powers that be know, that'd be great. Unless it's just my laptop. No, I think there have been a couple of issues, but it's not, I think we've done everything we can in here, Benjamin, but thank you for that. In regards to the high performance review, what worries me greatly is the reduction in white ball games at home and other smaller counties without test matches will lead to these counties being more and more reliant on ECB money, allowing to force more unpopular changes through in the future. It's also the case that if this review was in the mid-2000s, Sussex would be in the Premier League, but thus it appears we've chosen a poor time to be bad at red ball cricket as in comes Potts, bowls to Haynes. Lets that go outside the off stump, there is no wrong, possibly condemning us to the lower conferences for years. Being a 20-something county championship fan, the reduction in games will also make it hard for me to attend, with most games being during the week and requiring leave to attend, but that's just a personal gripe with the whole nonsense. I also wanted to say thank you for the coverage of Sussex Streams and Radio, which sorely missed during the winter. Thank you, Benjamin, and I know you are a regular contributor on Sussex Cricket at bbc.co.uk, and thank you very much for getting in touch for your views, and indeed everybody. I'm sure Martin would echo that as well. It makes the commentaries more interesting and more enjoyable as well, so thank you very much. As in comes Potts and bowls down the leg side, and Haynes, let's wait for the signal from the umpire. I think he got a bit of bat on there. It's clipped away down the leg side Benjamin was diving across full length, but it wasn't a chance. And Tom Haines picks up another boundary and goes to 31. I'm sure he got a nick on that. It was signals as 4, wasn't it, Martin? I thought Tom Haines already had 27.
It was signalled as buys, I think, wasn't it?
Was it? Okay, well, that's my fault then. I thought
buys on the board.
Okay, my fault. I thought, yes, it is indeed. I thought that that'd have been signals as runs. I didn't see I saw the signal for the 4. I didn't see the signal for the buys. But 4 more to the total.
You know what that is?
Bad eyesight.
It's by the by.
Very good.
He's here all week. Not. It's the last day.
Or a trip to Specsavers when the season's over, Martin.
Yeah. Get yourself to Barnard Castle. Get your eyes tested. Stephen Johnson's emailed. He says, regarding the 100 competition, I have no interest in it at all. However, giving the Riverside a few games for the Northern Superchargers might build some interest.
In comes Potts and Bowles, and Haines is forward solidly, looking more confident. Tom Haines with good length delivery. The Potts stays back on the full, and there is no run.
Being a member at Durham for many seasons, I think the 2022 season has been one of the worst. I haven't enjoyed much of the cricket at all. Not many highlights from the home team's point of view, and the benign nature of the wicket. Any rumours as to who may replace the coach, and will Durham go back in for the New Zealander who got a double 100 as an overseas player in his one game? That was Rachin Ravindra.
In comes Potts, Bowles to Haines, and Haines is forward, clipping this to mid-wicket, and there is no run.
As far as the coach is concerned, the last thing I was told by Marcus North, the director of cricket, a couple of weeks ago at Derby, was that they would be advertising that position at the end of this season, and the players come back in sort of November-ish after a few weeks off, and a lot of the early work is fitness training and in the gym and running and things like that, and then they generally start on the technical side of things about January time. So
in comes Potts and Bowles. Let's go outside the off stump by Haines, and there is no run.
I mean, the recruitment wise, Ollie Robinson coming from Kent, you know, that they've spoken to him a long time ago. It's been bubbling under for quite some time, that one. So decisions are being made on players coming and going with no head coach in place. So that's obviously been done at board level, and no doubt with a chat with some of the other coaches.
Potts back to his mark. He's going to come around the wicket to the left-handed Haines. Got an email coming from John Malone in Bexhill-on-Sea, where it's raining, but I'll read his email in a moment as Matthew Potts comes in. The 3 slips go down in lovely sunshine around the wicket bowls, and Haines is forward, plays to point, and there is no run. It is the end of Potts' 9th over, and Sussex are 60 for 4. Tom Haines on 27, James Cole's on 21. Sussex haven't lost a wicket this morning. These two have added 54, and John says, hello Adrian and Martin, Bexhill-on-Sea, it's raining, but coming through on the stream okay with the picture a little behind the commentary. Thank you for your commentary. Sussex are halfway through a 5-year project. If the supporters can stick with the plan, there'll be ups and downs. International call-ups and sickness have decimated the team over the last couple of seasons. We have some good lads coming through, so continue to give them encouragement. Regards, John Malone in Bexhill-on-Sea. I'm going to be down your neck of the woods tomorrow, John. I'm going to Saltdean swimming pool, just along outside of Brighton. The reason being it's a Lido or Lido, however you pronounce it, but this weekend they have they open the pool to people with dogs, so you can take your dog down, and the dogs go in the pool and owners go in as well. So that's where I'll be. You have to book your slot as well. It's very, very busy, so it should be good fun down at Saltdean tomorrow, so looking forward to that. I don't think the weather forecast is great, actually. I hope that rain clears away, John. Anyway, change of bowling, and it's going. Oh, crumbs!
That's a full toss from Gibson to start this first over of the day.
Yeah, that might.
Signal, is it? What's that going to be signal? Is it no ball?
Yeah,
no ball on height.
Could be a warning as well.
It is. That's a no ball on height. The ball has obviously been a bit wet, and it's come out of his hand wrong, and that was a no ball on height. So he's had one warning. Does it again, and he's off.
Yeah.
Durham did lose a player at Sussex a few seasons ago, didn't they?
I sometimes think that's a little harsh. I mean, I know them's the rules, but it's his first ball that he's bowled. He didn't mean to bowl a full toss. Immediately he apologised, but a warning straight away is, for your first ball. Still, that's what's happened, and James Cole pulled the ball down a fine leg and picked up a single. Gibson
comes in again and bowls. This is defended.
Yes, all the if you want to have a swim at Saltine tomorrow, you've got to jump in with the dogs, Martin. So that's what I'll be doing.
I wouldn't want to go swimming with dogs. I would consider that very unhygienic. Is this the one just along the Hove end?
No, it's not. It's the other end of Brighton. It's a wonderful project. I mean, people that have got. I mean, the swimming pool had fallen into disrepair, and bit by bit they're making it into a really lovely Lido.
Just turned away towards long leg for one run for Coles.
So looking forward to that. Yeah, perhaps it's not a good idea to swallow too much water, but it's great fun. So look forward to that. As I say, I think John, the weather forecast down on the north-south coast for tomorrow is not too clever for a large part of there. Perhaps by the time we go, it would have cleared up. Let's hope so. Gibson comes running in. Just the two slips in place. Sussex showing some resolve here today as Gibson is in bowls and Coles is forward plays into the offside. There is no run. Coming back to the 100 and bits and pieces, Martin, an interesting retweet from Lizzie Ammon, who writes for The Times, who was saying, a retweet from Matt Lowndes, who says, interesting comments from Richard Thompson at Surrey's Awards tonight, saying I have to learn to like the 100. He got jeered in an otherwise excellent speech.
Well, Ben Stokes a few weeks ago said leave the county championship alone, didn't he? He's the England skipper. And didn't Ian Botham say leave it alone as well? Oh, this is nipped back in.
I'm sorry, I think
edge.
Yeah, I pinched a delivery off there, Martin. I think that might have been tight, if he hadn't got a nick there.
Yeah. I'm sure Ian Botham said some comment about first-class cricket.
Right, okay.
Tony Waters says, just my annual thank you tweet for the commentary this season as always. It's been great to listen while working on the days that I can't get to the riverside. I'm sure there'll be more conversations about structure during the winter.
Lots of them, I should think.
Ball is pushed away out into the covers. No run there.
Yeah. Saltine Lido describes itself as the seventh wonder of the English seaside. It was established in 1938.
The seventh wonder, what are the other six?
Is an Art Deco building brought into public use by the Saltine Lido Community Interest Company and the Saltine Lido Trust with the support of key fundraisers. So it's a
Gibson in again. That's a Yorker length ball around about leg stump, played away by Coles to mid wicket. No run there. End of the over. So the no ball on height was the first delivery, and then a single, I think, came from that. Derek says more people need to find a way to get the 4-day games. I will be at more next season, he says.
Change of bowling coming up at this end of the ground. Just finishing up on in 2010. I'm going to be very boring about Saltine now. Saltine's Lido's leaseholder announced plans to fill the pool with concrete and build 102 apartments on the historic site. With the building's future in peril, supporters campaign to save the facility for the city and future generations. Now having reinstated the pool to its 1937 crescent-shaped design, the Saltine Lido company plan to restore the building to its former glory and give this much-loved Lido a sustainable future. And the dog weekend gives a chance to raise some cash. So let's hope we'll have a good weekend.
Sunburnt in Sunderland says Gibson's a good signing. It'll still be interesting to see if McIntosh can keep his place, as he's been excellent this year. An awful lot of young, promising batsmen too. Amazing what having a bat-friendly strip can do.
So Paul Coughlin's going to take over. Who bowled very well in the first innings, racing away from us, comes into bowl to Tom Haynes, wide outside the off stump, and Tom Haynes looking to thrash that away through the offside. Mistimes it completely, the ball goes into the covers. Excuse me, and there is no run. Paul Coughlin, who in the first innings took 3 for 33 in his 15 overs, and bowled very nicely. But Sussex are battling away here, showing a bit of fight, and I'm sure that's what everybody listening on the south coast, any Sussex supporters, you just want to see your side battling away and not rolling over. And Haynes and Coles haven't done that in the opening hour, as in comes Coughlin and bowls, and Haynes at one go outside the off stump, and there is no run.
Davey says 2 divisions of 9 is what I want. The counties need to stick together on these proposals and not accept them. Barry says, sadly, in my opinion, the county game is changing. look at the games this week. So many top players missing. Franchise tournaments are the priority due to revenue they attract. Not sure where domestic cricket will be in 5 years' time.
Coughlin runs away from us, bowls to Haynes, who's forward, and that's a lovely shot by Tom Haynes. That was all about the timing, beautifully played through extra cover. I thought for a minute, well, I lost sight of the ball momentarily because I didn't think it had reached the boundary, because so it was all in the timing from Tom Haynes, driven away through the offside. And this looks more like the old Tom. He goes to 32, and Sussex goes to 68 for 4. 66, is that 68 or 64? 68 for 4. Lovely shot. He's looked like he's had the weight of the world on his shoulders in the last few weeks, Tom Haynes, and unsurprisingly, it's a tough gig being captain in the county championship. He's only 23. He's taken it over last season, and it'll be difficult to say that perhaps that weight of expectancy broke his hand as well. Hasn't weighed down Tom, but he just looks more like the old Tom of last season and earlier on this season. Let's hope I don't talk him out. He's on 32, so 68 for 4. On a lovely day here. If you're listening down on the south coast, you're probably looking out the window at the drizzle, which we did for all day yesterday. Coughlin is in, bowls to Haynes, who's forward into the offside, and there is no run.
Is it a bit miserable down south?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah, and I think actually for all of today, overnight, and much of tomorrow, I think. Not the best.
Well, next week doesn't look good in Nottingham because the weather's going to change again, and we're going to get strong northerly winds dragging down quite a bit of rain, and around the Midlands it looks like it's going to be quite wet, and some days temperatures between sort of 4 and 7 degrees, which is not good.
In the day?
Yeah. That's what I saw yesterday anyway.
Comes Coughlin, bowls to Haynes, and that's going to be another boundary. Beautifully played. Too much width from Paul Coughlin, and Tom Haynes very quickly onto that, not driving the ball away through the covers for another boundary. He goes to 36 and Sussex to 72 for 4.
This is complete contrast to the way Paul Coughlin bowled in the first innings. He put real pressure on Sussex, but this has just been a bit too relaxed and loose.
Just elsewhere in this division, it's all about really who's going to go out with Nottinghamshire. Middlesex are going to beat Leicestershire at Grace Road if the weather holds, and I'm sure it will. Leicestershire 42 for 5, needing another 233 to win. Now that win will send Middlesex up if Derbyshire don't beat Glamorgan. If Glamorgan don't beat Derbyshire. And Derbyshire are 167 for 3. They haven't lost a wicket so far today, and they'll trail Glamorgan following on by 130 runs. Coughlin in, bowls, Haynes forward, a ball of good length, plays it into the offside, and there is no run.
I missed the start of that. Go back to that. What's happened there?
Yeah, so Middlesex will beat Leicestershire today because Leicestershire are 42 for 5, needing another 233 to win. So you would imagine that Middlesex are going to beat Leicestershire. So if Middlesex win and Glamorgan don't against Derbyshire, then I think Middlesex will be up with Notts. And that will mean that so Derbyshire are 167 for 3 in their second innings. They trail by 130. So Glamorgan with a bit of work. Glamorgan need to win that game to keep alive their hopes of promotion. So I think it will be confirmed, and I'll stand corrected on this, that if Glamorgan don't win and Middlesex do, then Middlesex and Notts will be promoted. I think that's the case. I did some work on that last night, actually. So, nothing like that hanging on this game, but this is all about whether Durham can pick up these wickets and how deep Sussex can take this game. I better do an update, Martin.
Gibson, right arm over from the Lumley end, bowling here to Coles. It's played back towards the bowler's end, no run there. In comes the bowler, and is defended by Coles. So these two came together briefly yesterday when Sussex were 6 for 4. 3 of the first 4 batsmen got ducks. Allsop, Clark and Ibrahim all LBW to Ben Rain. All ran himself out on the night of the first, the night they started this second innings. for 4. This is left alone outside the line of off stump. So this is in comes a bowler. Oh, playing a miss. Through to the keeper, it's gone. In comes the bowler, and again it's gone through the keeper. He's attempted to hook this one. It was a shortish ball down the leg side and played and missed. It's bounced out the keeper's gloves. Adrian's singing a bit of Kim Carnes, Betty Davis eyes. Gibson in, driven out into the covers, stopped by Coghlan, and that is the end of the over. And Coghlan, having thrown the ball to the keeper, immediately takes his sweater off because he'll be bowling the next over from this end of the ground. That was a maiden from Gibson as well. It's a good job you never went into a career as a singer, Adrian. I presume they're playing that on radio. They're playing that on Radio Sussex, are they? Yeah.
I can't remember who sang it, Martin.
Kim Cairns, wasn't it?
Was it?
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, I didn't realise I was singing so loud.
Yes, Coghlan round the wicket then. Finkel end, bowling to Haynes. Haynes cuts, and the ball is played out towards the cover boundary for 1 run. Cross towards the castle stand, picked up by Gibson. Stephen Carter has tweeted, he says, "Thanks for the great work again, Marty. It's made many hours of work in people's gardens go a lot quicker down here in sunny Devon." He says, "Scrap the 100 and let's go back to 16 championship games. Winter well." Coghlan comes in and bowls down the leg side to the keeper. So Haynes on 37. He went into this game with 619 runs, best score 243. He's had that 1 century and 3 50s, and the 243, his highest score in county championship cricket against Derbyshire in April. This is played towards mid-wicket. Oh, it's missed by Maddinson. He was overbalanced there, and he couldn't stop the ball, and he couldn't stop himself either. He was a little bit top-heavy, and then the throw comes back in and is missed by everybody at the stumps and eventually mopped up by Michael Jones. 2 runs there. Haynes this season has also got 59 in the season opener against Notts, 54 against Durham in April. In Hove, his last half century 50 against Leicestershire in May, so it's been a long time since he's had any decent runs on the board. He has 37 to his name today, but he's off strike because Coles is now facing Coghlan, right arm over on 24. Coles turns the ball off towards long leg. Gibson comes round to clack this one, 2 runs. So I did warn this morning in the preview to this that this might not be a straightforward day, and cited Leicestershire batting all day here on the final day and only losing 2 wickets. That was in April. And then at Worcester, I think only 1 wicket fell on the final day, and that was at tea. Durham need to keep plugging away here. Coughlin in. That's defended, and the ball rolls out onto the offside. It's picked up by Travaskis. No run there. That's not Travaskis, that is Bushnell, I think. Bushnell on as a 12th man. Coughlin comes in, bowls, and that's driven up to Jones, who dives and stops it at wide mid-off. Good work from him. End of the over 4 from it. 76 for 4. Sussex still trailing Durham by 221. 111 overs have been lost in this game to the weather. Just 14 balls were bowled yesterday in a day where they were hoping to get 102 overs in. The weather forecast yesterday changed quite dramatically as the day began, because initially there was the suggestion of an odd shower in the morning, but then a weather window until mid-afternoon before heavier rain came in, and the rain basically came in and it just kept coming and coming and coming, and they never got back on.
Yeah, well, I've been before and really looking forward to it. So it's great fun. All the dogs jump in the pool, and if you want to jump in, that's what you do. So I always.
He's talking about swimming with a dog again now.
It's great fun. Yeah.
I'm not really sure that I'd want to jump into a swimming pool, A, with my dog if I had one, or B, lots of other dogs either. Gibson to start a new over, coming round the wicket here, and bowls. Oh, that's worth a shout. He's out. That is the end of Haynes. He's yorked him right on the front foot, off stump. LBW. He goes for 37. That was a really good delivery from Gibson there, and it's just hit him around about the lace area, and Haynes didn't even really wait to see what the finger of doom looked like there. He turned and he went, and that ends his partnership at 70 runs, and Sussex are now 76 for 5 and trail Durham by 221.
Yeah, just as I was giving the listeners down in the South Coast a little bit of optimism and a bit of fight for it, but he was absolutely stone dead, wasn't he, Tom Haynes? A shame, because I thought he batted really nicely this morning. We're seeing a bit of Tom Haynes form from earlier in the season, but the skipper's gone. Sussex effectively now 6 down. And it's a young Charlie Tier who comes out. A gentleman's just talking about dogs. A gentleman just come into the stand away to our left-hand side in the pavilion in front of the changing rooms with his dog. So Charlie Tier comes out to bat. They're still batting for Sussex. Charlie Tier batted well in the first innings. He made 26 from memory. Let me just double check my notes. Where are we? My score by 26 he made. The pages are starting to fall out of my book, Martin. It's lasted me for 2 seasons, this Fool's Camp. But he can bat, and clearly Fahim Ashraf can as well, as can Jack Carlson, but we just want to see some fight from Sussex today. John Barnett's been in touch. Hello, John, who's listening across, who says that he can see the stream and everything is working fine. So good to hear from you, John. And an email in from Martin Weich, who says, I've only just tuned in, so please ignore me if you've covered all this already, but I think I speak for many when I say what's happening is irreparable vandalism to the county system and the process by which England find players with patient skills and experience for Test cricket. I respect Andrew Strauss hugely, but I don't know what's gone into his head. With the trouble at Wasps and Worcester, rugby union is also in a parlous state, while football is chasing its tail by squeezing in a ridiculous schedule. I can't help but feel what's happening in sport is reflective of our country as a whole, pursuing profit above all else, taking a wrecking ball to tradition and showing scant support for player welfare and the have-nots.
Here's a new man, Tier, coming in is Gibson. He bowls, that's left alone, goes past the off stump.
Martin goes on to say, Durham can attest to the greed is good and big is better attitude of the ECB, having been harshly punished for pursuing growth and then left out of the gaudy party of the 100. I can only thank people like yourselves and the BBC for continuing to hold the torch for the quiet pleasures of the red ball game. The excellent coverage on radio, internet and YouTube has been a revelation for many of us who value the longer form of the great game. Yours in despair, says Martin. Martin, thank you so much for your email, and thank you for your support. You're another regular contributor throughout the season. Much appreciated.
Gibson in again to Tier. That's with the shout. He's played around the ball. He's gone away with it.
Yeah, he has.
Umpire's decided he's outside the line of off stump unless he thinks he got a bit of bat on it. Let's just watch this one again.
No, I think that was...
Going down leg, actually.
Was it?
Maybe
okay.
Going down leg.
He looked a good shout from here.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's interesting, Martin.
We're down at a fine third man, so we're not directly behind the stump. But
I mean, you know, without a review system in county cricket, I'm a bit of a... I mean, I know Tom Clark got a horrible decision the other day. There's no question that wasn't out. But I just wonder over the course of a season whether you get some and you don't get others, and it evens out. I'm not saying that's an excuse for bad decisions, but I think Charlie Tier might have got away with one there.
Gibson in again. This is turned away past square leg, and it's being chased by a couple of fielders. Bushnell the substitute, one of them, but it's Coghlan who comes up from long leg on the boundary to retrieve the ball. 2 runs. Derek's been back on. He says, I don't mind if they want a bowling machine bowling at a bin with one fielder and the batter holding a tennis racket if they sell tickets to happy people, as long as we have 4-day championship and test matches. Well, we were discussing before play today up in the press room about how many counties have already voiced opposition to these proposals, and we think it's 7. In comes Gibson again. This is turned towards short mid-wicket, a bit of a bump ball to Travaskis, and given they need 2/3 of the vote to get it through, looks like it could already be a non-starter. But Bernard emails, he says, I don't expect the counties to vote for the latest plans to restructure English cricket. He says, it looks like Strauss has been given a bad idea and he's made what he could of it.
There's certainly not too many supporters of it, Martin, that's for sure.
No. This is pushed out into the offside, could be tight. Throw comes in, misses the target from Rain. Risky single, that one.
Well, it was very risky, and I think actually had the throw gone to the end to which James Coles was running, i.e. the striker's end, he could have been in trouble. He played the ball into the offside, Charlie, till he set off, and I think James Coles was a little surprised to see him set off for the run. Sussex have already had 1 run out in this innings. They could well do without another. A very good morning wherever you're listening. Well, we've got 15 minutes left in the morning. Live cricket on the BBC from the northeast of England in Durham on a beautiful day. Lots and lots of blue sky, not like that down on the south coast, I know. Yesterday's rain here has become the south coast rain today. As I say, you're listening to Live Cricket. Adrian Harms, Martin Emerson, live from the Riverside, where Sussex have lost a wicket this morning, the wicket of Tom Haines, who batted very nicely for his 37 before he was LBW to Oliver Gibson and Plum LBW as well. There's been 1 or 2 LBW decisions that have been a little questionable. But that one wasn't, and I think Tom knew the minute it hit the pads that he was on his way. But Paul Coghlan is coming in to bowl to the debutant Charlie Tier. He's in bowls, and Tier is forward defensively placed to mid-on. And there is no run. Charlie Tier, 18 years of age. I'm not sure if he's a current or a past pupil of Seaford College, but he's played for Scotland under-19s. His mother is Scottish, and that's how Charlie qualifies to play for Scotland, and he acquitted himself very well on the opening day. When the floodlights are on, it was low cloud and batting was very difficult. In comes Coghlan bowls, and Tier is forward. And we were hearing as well that he plays his club cricket at West Chiltington. So, first time we've had a look at Charlie. West Chiltington and Thacombe Cricket Club is where Charlie plays his cricket. Educated at Seaford College, coached or under the watchful eye there of Chris Adams, former Sussex County Championship winning skipper, as in comes Coghlan bowls and clipped away by Tier, and that's a nice shot. Beautifully played. It was a half volley on the leg stump. It was asking to be tucked away through mid-wicket for 4 runs, but you've got to do the job, and Tier wasn't going to miss out. Clipped that away nicely, and he goes to 7, and Sussex do 83 for 5. Still an awful long way for Sussex to go to save this game. Looking at the score, but I think that's saying 76 overs remaining in terms of the actual arrears. They are still 214 runs in arrears, so realistically it's a mountain for Sussex to climb that may be too big, but I think after the slumping to 6 for 4, just wanted to see some fight from this Sussex side. And Grant Flower didn't hold back in his comments on the interview on Tuesday night, feeling that the young cricketers have got to evolve quicker, and that if you don't, Grant's words were, you get eaten up in county cricket. It's a tough arena and it's tough here. So this is a good setting for Charlie Tier, as in comes Coghlan and bowls, and Tier with an exaggerated leave outside of the S-stump. The through ball goes through to Benjamin, who drops the ball. I think he's hurt his finger, Chris Benjamin, because he took that almost as if it was a hot potato, and he dropped the ball. It was a straightforward take, and he's now on his haunches.
Yeah, it wobbled on him very late, that one.
Yeah, and he got one on the hand a little earlier on. I just wonder whether he's got an injury, and the ball going into the wrong part of the glove is jolly painful.
Who could they stick in there instead? Has Maddinson played as a keeper in the past? I don't know.
Coghlan on his way again over the wicket, bowls, and Tier is forward and runs this to point. A very good stop at backward point by, is that Sean Dixon? Can't quite see the number on the back of the shirt. Nonetheless, Tier goes through for a single. He goes to 8, and the total to 84 for 5.
Travaskis in there, I think.
Travaskis,
yeah.
My apologies. Coghlan wanders back to his mark. He's in his 3rd over, figures of 0 for 17.
Might have to stick Travaskis in as a keeper. He's a good fielder.
He just looks a little bit of discomfort, Chris Benjamin, behind the stumps. Batted very nicely. When was it? Not yesterday, the day before. We only had 14 balls yesterday. So Coghlan is back to his mark, just in front of us. Just the 2 slips in place. Backward point, cover mid-off. Mid-on, mid-wicket, square leg. And a long leg as Coghlan is in bowls. And forward comes James Coles, who's played very straight and very solidly this morning. He's on 25. So maybe this is the future of Sussex Cricket Club. 2 18-year-olds out in the middle. James Coles and Charlie Tier. And what, I think these are great opportunities for young players. You're against a quality attack. You're against an England bowler in Matthew Potts. Ben Rain, who takes wickets for fun and has done for years. But it's a nice sunny day. A pitch that's got no demons in it. There's a bit in it for the bowlers. But a real opportunity for these 2 young players to show what they can do, and that's what it's all about for Sussex in the rest of this game, next week in the game against Glamorgan. Lots of talk about the young players. Are they good enough? Well, a real opportunity to show that, yeah, I'm good enough and I want to be in that first championship side come next April. And it won't be long till it's round, Marty. It won't be long.
Nights are drawing in.
Don't go there. We've got another week of the lovely game, and then we could be as miserable as Sid for a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Gibson from the Lumley end comes in and bowls, and the ball turned down into the ground by Tier, who has 8. Stuart Dick says, I hear SeaWorld does swimming with dogs, but it's not as popular as swimming with the dolphins.
Yeah. Stuart, it's sending him up here. Where's Stuart now?
He's down Wakefield way.
Right, okay. Oh, hi,
Works
Stuart.
for a sports statistician analysis type company.
Right, excellent.
And grows rhubarb in his spare time.
Is that a joke, or is that...
Well, it's the rhubarb triangle. Wakefield. It is. In comes Gibson. It's just gone off towards backward point. Collected by Maddinson.
Now you're talking a language I don't know there, Martin.
Do you not know about the rhubarb triangle of Great Britain? Yeah, it's in the Wakefield area. Look it up.
I will. The rhubarb triangle. Well, tell me about it before I look it up. Does it mean it's good rhubarb, or?
Well, that's where most of the rhubarb comes from in this country, I think.
Right. Okay. I'll tell you what, you find all sorts when you come up here.
Particular type of soil.
He ought to go on masterminded, Martin, didn't he?
Gibson in, defended by Tier, goes short on the offside. Richard Jack's email, he says, "Hi Martin, thanks for the commentary and the Twitter coverage. They're a great step forwards in following the county championship over the past few years." He says, "I actually think the performance review makes good suggestions. I like grouping the games in each competition together, and I like the county championship games being played more in the summer. I like the proposed county championship structure. The playoff would be a really exciting game, and I can see that getting some good coverage." But there's an if. In comes Gibson. This is played out into the covers again, no run there. He says this is all undermined by choosing to reserve August for the 100 though. There's so much that would be solved by getting rid of that competition. We'd have time for more county championship games in school holidays, the concentration back on the 2020 competition, which other people play and already has a good following, and test matches in August. As a Durham fan, I think many people will feel the same in other non-franchise counties. I don't feel any affinity with Yorkshire or whatever they're called in the 100, and as a result, it has very little interest in me, says Richard. That's through to the keeper. Playing competitions in blocks is a good idea. Reducing the county championship down to possibly 10 games is not. 5 home games, so you maybe one a month. You don't start playing till May, June, July, August. And they're talking about still having matches in September, so you might actually have 1 or 2 county championship matches at the start of the season, and then nothing going on in the middle, and then a few in September. That's home games. As Gibson tries to York Tier, he digs it out though on leg stump.
Well played. Yeah.
So if you've only got 5 home games in the county championship, that could end up being not even 1 a month the way it's structured.
The Rhubarb Triangle is a 9 square mile area of West Yorkshire between Wakefield, Morley and Rothwell, famous for producing early forced rhubarb. It includes Kirkman Gate, East Ardsley, Stanley Lofthouse and Carlton. The Rhubarb Triangle was originally much bigger, covering an area between Leeds, Bradford and Wakefield. From the 1900s to the 1930s, the rhubarb industry expanded and its peak covered an area of about 30 square miles. Rhubarb is native to Siberia, really.
Is it?
And thrives in the wet, cold winters in Yorkshire. Yorkshire once produced 90% of the world's winter-forced rhubarb from the forcing sheds that were common across the fields there. You live and learn. In comes rain. Bowls to James Cole's place to one. Remind me not to go to Martin's Local to the pub quiz. I reckon he's there every Thursday.
Oh. Well, the last pub quiz I did, it was with Jason Gillespie and Callie and Dave Townsend, and we came 6th.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, there we go. I never knew that.
That was it. Was it the Wee Chief in Wetherby about 5 or 6 years ago?
Right.
Do you know how many teams there were in it that night? 6. Yeah.
In comes Rain, who's back into the attack. Ben Rain figures a 3 for 36. He's in and bowls to Coles, who stretches forward, plays back to the bowling. In 2010, Yorkshire Forced Rhubarb was awarded protected designation of origin status by the European Commission's Protected Food Names Scheme. Who on earth thought of that? After being recommended by the Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs. And in Wakefield, there's a rhubarb sculpture in the middle of the town I'm looking at. So there we are.
Is there?
Yeah, there's a rhubarb sculpture. So there we are. I never knew it. Rhubarb. There we go. In comes Rain and bowls to Coles, who's forward solidly. He's batting very nicely here, James Coles. He's 25, have come off. Look at, what is that, 60 deliveries, Martin?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's looked very solid. As James Coles.
Every day's a school day, Adrian. Every day's a school
day. It is, yeah. The more you find out, and all of that.
The more you find out, the more you can forget. Inquisitive minds.
Yeah. Ben Rain. Just the 2 slips in place, a backward point, cover mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket. 2 men sat back on the leg side as Rain is in bright sunshine, bowls to James Coles, who watches that one pass harmlessly outside of the off stump. Say goodbye, keeper Benjamin, and there is no run.
I bet you'd be partial to a bit of rhubarb crumble, would you?
I would.
Yeah.
It's
not the sort of thing that I would want to eat.
You wouldn't?
No. I don't mind the crumbly bit, but not rhubarb.
Right. I think
it's got some energy benefits in it, and
yeah, I think it's meant to be very good for you. I'm never sure whether it's best with custard though, or a bit of ice cream.
Oh, a bit of both.
If you like to have one,
you get the rhubarb out. Have the crumble with custard and ice cream.
Okay. In comes Rain and Bowles, and again wide of the off stump. He holds his head in his hands. It looked from this angle as if that was fairly wide of the off stump, but judging by Ben Rain's reaction, maybe that wasn't the case. James Coles comes down and does a little bit of gardening.
Swung at the last moment there.
Okay.
Stephen says, what's Durham's stance on these proposals? We're waiting to find out officially. Sitting in the back garden in Newcastle with a glorious day, summer has returned.
It has.
And on a different note, are Durham going ahead with the hotel and the ground proposals? Well, they are. It's the longest hotel building project in history, I think.
In comes Rain and Bowles, and Coles is forward. Foot right to the pitch of the ball, high left elbow. Plays the ball down on the onside. It is a maiden over from Ben Rain, who's bowled 10 overs, 4 maidens, has taken 3 for 38. And Sussex are 84 for 5. We've still got the scoreboard is just to see how many overs we've got left in the day. Round about 70, but I'll tell you that in a couple of minutes. 76, so a few more than that. And Sussex needing another 213 if they're going to make Durham bat again.
The hotel, I think I first saw artists' impressions of the hotel and the redevelopment of this ground in the boardroom here in something like 2007. And I think those artists' impressions are still over in that building somewhere. They've tried a few different companies over the years as Gibson Balls. Well, I'm not sure whether Tia was trying to leave that or if that was planned, but it's come off the edge of the bat, it's gone along the edge of the bat and looped over, second slipping away for 4 down the third man.
I think he was surprised by that. I think he was looking to get out of the way and an edge over the slips.
Done for pace there, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Anyway, at one time there was talk of building a hotel in the riverbank on the right-hand side of the ground, and they cleared a lot of trees and bushes, and then it never happened. Then there was talk of building a hotel with stands built into it. Now the plan is, and we were shown a video of this at the end of season dinner last year, and the first part of the redevelopment of the ground has begun because they've built a new club shop and incorporated it into ticket office and entrance area. This is turned by Tia. This is going to be 4. I don't think Rain's going to get across to cut this off, or is he? He will. He slides in and stops it down at fine leg. Leg by. 2 runs. So they've built a new club shop and they've incorporated the reception area into that, and they're changing the dressing rooms, making 1 or 2 other alterations to restaurants and bars in the members' room. And then the plan at the far end of the ground is to build what will look like the Point at Lancashire, but rather than it be in a red shroud, it will be in blue and yellow, Durham's colours, and it will be a hotel / conference centre. Gibson Bowles, that's gone through to the keeper, and I think they were talking the last time I was discussing this about a sort of Hilton Garden type style hotel, which would look similar from the front as well to the hotel next to the Stadium of Light in Sunderland, and it would be raised up so you could have all this conference and corporate hospitality in there, seats underneath and rooms on the top and on the back. So
very nice. Well, the next time you come to Hove, Martin, because you weren't down this year, you'll see a dramatic difference.
Yeah, well, they started building that new place at the gate, hadn't they? Gibson. What's that gone? Now that's incredibly erratic on height.
Now, is that going to be? I mean, it ballooned up.
No, he's lost his foot there. He said he's had a load of mud. He's banged it in short, and it's absolutely unplayable on height. And the umpires have signalled a no ball on height, but it wasn't a beamer. It seemed to pitch very short, and he seemed to be. He sort of lost his foot as he was bowling that, and then immediately was looking at his spikes and trying to take a load of mud off his shoes. I will say I've walked over this field the last 2 or 3 days, and something, because I haven't been here for 5 weeks, something that I noticed, the amount of worm casts out there. Incredible amount of worm casts. Gibson Bowles, that's played off half volley through past point, and this is off towards the boundary. Madison's chasing it, and he has to stop because he was going to run into the ground staff who were all sitting on deck chairs just beyond that boundary up. He couldn't quite get there. It's 4 runs.
Yeah, I think he made the right decision there.
Yeah.
Didn't want to see another injury, someone chasing a ball towards the boundary. Good job by Charlie Tier. Goes to 16.
I've got to say, in an hour and a half of play this morning, Durham have not bowled with the aggression that you would have expected. And it's been a fairly straightforward morning from a Sussex point of view. They have lost the one wicket in Haynes, but they are making progress. They're 96 for 5, given they were 6 for 4 at the start of play, or 9 for 4. That's left alone by Tier outside the line of off stump.
I was going to say something about what were we talking about before then? You were talking
Monday and Tuesday highs of just 11. I'm hearing.
What were you talking about?
The hotel.
Yeah. Oh yes, yeah. So down at Hove, the apartment. So basically, the pub was pulled down, but it is going to be reinstated in a format, but not the old Cricketers pub, obviously. And the apartments are, every time you go there, there's a bit more work going on, and they're all sold.
You bought one? You bought the penthouse?
Oh, I have no idea what sort of money that went for, with the sea view at Hove.
Yeah, as long as there's not a sea threat. Gibson balls, defended on off stump by Tier. End of the over. The midday news has begun, so we'll be doing an update in about 3 or 4 minutes on Radio Newcastle. And Sussex 96 for 5. Coles has 25, Tier 16, and this little partnership now worth 20 from 29 balls. And the deficit nearly under 200, 201 at the moment. I think a lot of people thought Durham would have this wrapped up before lunch, but it's not looking that way at all. And as we've seen, day 4 wickets, well, actually it's not really a day 4 wicket, is it? Because they didn't play on it really yesterday, but they do tend to flatten out here. But the ball is still only 27 over, so it shouldn't have gone soft and lost its dynamism just yet. Rain starts a new over from the Finkel end. That's left alone outside the off stump by Coles.
Martin is for crumble all the way, incidentally, says Martin Weiss, and he asks you to tell you why West Auckland is famous for hosting the first Football World Cup.
It didn't host it.
Ah.
The team played in Italy and won it. And that World Cup got stolen from the clubhouse about 25 years ago. They went to... Did they play in Milan or... This is defended. There was wasn't there a drama with Dennis Waterman in it called A Captain's Tale or something like that? It was really good. The idea was that they were invited accidentally and sold a lot of their furniture and stuff to raise the money to get out to Italy, and then won this tournament.
Was that... Oh, right, well, I know you've got an update to do, so I'll keep quiet.
Rain's taken 3 for 38. He comes in here and bowls. Just played back to the bowler's end. Halfway through this 28th over here on BBC Radio Newcastle and BBC Radio Sussex. Final day of home matches for Durham this year. They will be at Nottingham next week from Monday. Rain in. Ball played up towards mid-on. No run there. For 5. 4 minutes past 12. Rain in, bowls. Forward comes batsman Coles, defends, runs up to Coghlan at mid-on. Durham basically need another 4 wickets to win the match. Another dot ball here, and it's a maiden. He comes in and bowls, and it is a maiden. Update for Radio Newcastle. Well, Well, the sun is shining, so that's one plus after just 14 balls yesterday. Only one wicket has fallen so far today, though. I think a few people thought Durham would run right through Sussex this morning, but it's not been that case at all. Tom Haynes was the man to go, the skipper, eventually out for 37 LBW to Ollie Gibson, a Yorker which hit him right in the foot. But he had put on a partnership of 70 for the fifth wicket by that point with James Coles. Coles is on 25. At the other end, debutant Charlie Tier is on 16. So Sussex 96 for 5. Remember, Durham only need another 4 wickets because one of their players is injured and can't bat. They do trail at the moment by 201, 74 overs left in the day. Commentary on the BBC website.
And it's going to be Oliver Gibson who's going to carry on running in from the Finkel end to bowl to James Coles. He's in on bowls. He lets that go outside. In fact, Tier, I do apologise, lets that go outside the off stump and there is no run. Gary Knight's been in touch from a rainy Horsham. Hello, Gary. And just, Gary, can I just thank you for all your contributions through the season as well? I know lots going on. I'm very grateful for all the messages that you send. So thank you for that. He says, lots going on in the cricket world at the moment, both nationally with the high performance review and also with Sussex having such a poor season and rumours about next season circulating. Yeah, lots of rumours. We won't deal in those, but in comes Gibson and bowls, and nice looking shot by Tier, straight to cover. There is no run. He says, my main concern about the review is that it will eventually result in some smaller counties being forced into oblivion. The review proposes to reduce the number of T20 blast claims, which, as John Philby said yesterday, is their main income producer. The other proposal to reduce the number of championship games and create a Premier League is surely another nail in the coffin for the likes of Sussex, as members will not renew memberships and the best players will move away. As Gibson turns in the sunshine and is on his way to Charlie Tier. He's in on bowls and Tier up on his toes and plays that to square leg, and there is no run. All of this may well result in a stronger England team, but at what cost to the lifeblood of the game? No doubt the counties will reject the proposals and in time a compromise will be reached, but the signs are ominous. As an interesting final paragraph actually, Gary, that you say there, a compromise, and I think the feeling is there will be some compromises somewhere along the way. But is this just the start of the compromises? Is this? Will there be another situation like this coming down the track in 3 or 4 more years' time? Who knows? In comes Gibson bowls. Tier lets that go outside the off stump. I think we all know the one thing that is here to stay, certainly for the time being, is the 100, and that's
at the heart of the issue, isn't it? It is that one tournament that nobody else plays, which is causing all of this hassle.
And was the idea of the 100 that it was, when it was brought in, was the idea it was to make money? Was it to broaden the appeal?
It was going to attract, because it was a format nobody else played. One of the theories was the Indian players would be allowed to come over, and then you could sell the television rights abroad. In
comes Gibson bowls to Tier, who's forward and plays to mid on, and there is no run. Nice defence by Charlie Tier, who was very unruffled out there for an 18-year-old, as indeed is James Coles. 2 slips, a backward point, cover mid-off. There's a mid-on, a straightish mid-wicket, a forward square leg, and a fine leg down on the boundary. Ben Rain chatting away to a couple of the Durham lads who have got their green bibs on, presumably on sort of 12th men or refreshment duties. Bit of breeze, you can see the flags fluttering away above the sight screen at the far end of the ground as in lovely sunshine Gibson is in short delivery and Tier plays it well. He had plenty of time just to duck out the way. The ball goes through into the gloves of keeper Benjamin. Is another maiden over from Gibson. 6 overs, 3 maidens, 1 for 17. So the run rate has slowed. But Coles and Gibson having a natter in the middle of the pitch, and the Sussex supporters will know what they're thinking. Well, at least they've showed some fight. But Gary, thank you for your email, and I guess you can now turn your attention after next week to the fortunes of Gary's favourite football team, who are West Ham. Who I don't think are doing too well, actually, Gary. But
the Hammers.
Hammers, yeah. But Gary, thank you very much, and yes. Perhaps I'll see you at Hove next week.
North Hants, 31 for 4 in Taunton. They only need another 431 to win that one.
I think a win for Somerset and they'll be safe, Martin.
Rain starts a new over from the Finkel end, and this is played out through deep square leg for 1 run.
Let me just double check that. I keep saying, they'll be safe. So let's just get an update. I mean, they are.
There's been a wicket at Cardiff. Duploy has gone for 66, bowled by Hogan. So Derbyshire now 197 for 5. They trail by 100 runs, so Glamorgan will have to bat again there, and then that's a case of how long do they bat for, if they bowl Derbyshire out, of course, because there's still 5 wickets to play with. Leicestershire 70 for 7, need another 205 to beat Middlesex in Leicester. Rain in. Defender ball goes back to him.
Yeah, I think a win for Somerset means they are safe. So in terms of relegation,
Kent.
it's going to be between Yorkshire, Kent and Warwickshire. Warwickshire play Hampshire next week. Warwickshire would look favourites to go down because they're 15 points behind Yorkshire. They're 14 points behind Kent.
So it's incredible that Warwickshire won the title last year.
Absolutely. They've won one game all season.
Yeah. This is defended by the batsman Tear-Off Rain. They came here and Durham beat them inside 3 days, and it was an extremely one-sided affair. And then the match down there, Durham were generally on top throughout most of that, but they started to lose time to the weather. And then Durham had Bryden Carson, Ben Stokes withdrawn mid-game to make up that emergency England one.
Oh, I remember. Yep.
But if you'd told me after Durham had beaten Warwickshire here that Warwickshire were going to win the title, I would have said you were daft. 97 for 5. Rain bowls. It's a shortish one. It's left alone.
Yeah, and in terms of so we're looking here at what's going to make up of the second division going to be, because we now know that the makeup is going to be exactly the same as this season. Any change in the schedule will be for the following season. So looking at the second division, so it looks like Gloucestershire are down definitely, and Warwickshire in pole position to come down, but it could be Kent or Yorkshire, depending on how results go next week.
So Gloucestershire have just come up. Kent were up already, weren't they? That's gone through to the keeper.
So next week Kent plays Somerset.
Northants went up with Gloucestershire, didn't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Warwickshire play Hampshire. Yorkshire at home to Gloucestershire. So Warwickshire with it all to do, and haven't got an easy game at home to Hampshire. That being said, Hampshire now can't win the championship. Surrey did that yesterday,
and they'll not like it away from the south coast, up at altitude in the Midlands.
And in Division 2, it is between. I'll come back to it in a minute.
Rain to Tier. That's left. It's gone outside the off stump through to the keeper. I'll tell you what, I wouldn't be surprised come lunch if Sussex is still only 5 down here. Doesn't look like there's much doing for the batsmen at the moment, and we've gone into that sort of 30 overs gone. Durham have their work cut out.
Yeah. So the gap between Middlesex and Glamorgan at the minute is 12 points at the start of these games. If Middlesex were to win and Glamorgan didn't, I think that pretty much settles it. And Notts and Middlesex would be promoted. So important. Glamorgan come to Hove next week. Martin Durham go down to Notts, and it could well be that Notts might still need a few points to be sure of promotion. So it's going to be Gibson running in from the Finkel end, bowls to Cops, who glides that down to fine leg, picks up another single, does James Coles. It's been a good innings by James Coles. He's batted very solidly. He's been there for a long time. He's on 27 off of 71 deliveries.
I think Durham need to get Potts back into the attack here now. Try something different.
I do apologise. I didn't think it was Gibson. I was looking at the scoreboard thinking it's not Gibson, but it's Paul Coughlin who's back in. I do apologise, from the Finkel end of the ground. So 2 slips. He's bowled almost exclusively from this end. There are 2 slips as Coughlin is in over the wicket, bowls and Tier to wide delivery. Shows good judgment and has nothing to do with the ball that swung away or moved away off the pitch into the gloves of keeper Benjamin, and there is no run. What have we got? Another 15 minutes until lunch, so no additional time on the final day. So lunch will be at 12:30.
Coughlin's bowling here from the Lumley end. We're at the Finkel end, and I'm just wondering, it's sandwiches again today, isn't it? Is that right?
Is it? Yeah. Okay, in comes Coughlin and bowls, and again a similar delivery, and Benjamin ends up making a tumbling stop in front of first slip, a ball that rather died as it went through to the keeper.
They're more a wrap these days, aren't they, really?
It is like a wrap, yeah.
It's like
We shouldn't complain.
No. But people, I just didn't want to mislead people into believing we were going to be eating loaves of bread, like slices of bread, when really it's pita bready type stuff, isn't it?
Coughlin again. In and bowls, and here for the third time in the over is allowed to let the ball pass by outside the off stump. He's showing good patience here, Charlie Tier. He's been in for 37 deliveries. He's made 16.
Some PR firm have got hold of my my email account, and for a lot of days in a row now I've been receiving emails about varying Indian restaurants from around the north who've made the shortlist for the northern section of Curry Restaurant of the Year.
Right. In comes Coughlin over the wicket, bowls, let go. Again, that's the fourth ball in a row that Charlie Tiers had nothing to do with. He just doesn't have to play it. These deliveries through to keeper Benjamin. Tom and Arundel's been in touch. Sorry, Martin, he said, you've already covered this. I heard Martin say that Durham only need the 4 wickets due to an injury. Do you know who picked up the injury and how it came about? Yes, it was Henry Crocombe on the opening day who chased a ball to the boundary and dived to stop the ball and has injured his shoulder very nastily and won't take any more part this season. Coughlin bowls and Tier plays firmly. He does have to play at that delivery down the ground to mid-on. Just the 1 run off the over. And Sussex are 98 for 5 with Coles on 27 and Tier on 16.
Talking of curries, made a nice fish curry last night. Took a bit of doing, mind.
Why?
Just all the bits and bobs you needed to chuck in the pot and do this bit first, then that bit, then take that bit away and separate it and zuzz this bit down. But it was quite nice.
Bit of rice? Poppadoms?
We didn't go down the rice route. We made some naan breads where you mix Greek yogurt, half Greek yogurt, half flour, and very tasty they were. You roll them out and then fry them. Very nice. Ben Rain, 98 for 5. Sussex comes in here to bowl. Ball turned away off the legs down towards the backwards square leg for 1 by Coles. But I was just thinking, over the years I've had some lovely curries, but years and years ago when Bangladesh played their first test match against England, they played it here. Probably about 2005, 2006, something like that. And the day before the test, they had a curry cook-off and they invited some of the top-class restaurants from around the north and across, I think, the Midlands and Manchester as well. Leeds, they came from all over. In comes Rain, that's gone through to the keeper. And anyway, they all set up in the members' room, cooked these absolutely astonishing curries, and the TV commentary crew were the judges, and they awarded the Curry Champion of the Year title to whoever it was. But every single one of them was just gorgeous, really nice stuff.
Lovely. Have a nice curry.
$99 for 5. Deficit 198. Rain in. Ball played off towards square leg.
Well, you did say this morning, and in fact you said it from the first day, Martin, about wickets here at Durham. 100 up for Sussex, as you say. The wickets have got flatter as games have gone on, and take nothing away from the way the Sussex lads have batted this morning, but batting looks. Well, I'm going to need to touch a bit of wood here because I could talk them out.
From a Durham point of view, this looks all too familiar. And I'm just wondering how many people sitting in this ground now are thinking, hold on a minute. Rain bowls. Another ball off towards mid-wicket for 1 run. Leicestershire springs to mind. Worcestershire away. A number of games last year where Durham had sides in the middle and couldn't get the wickets on the final day. Now, I suggested this to you and to one of your pals this morning, but the suggestion was this is a different set of circumstances in the conditions, the wetness, the fact that it's such a young Sussex side, inexperienced. But this is by no means the formality I think a few thought it would be. Rain bowls.
Good delivery.
Playing a miss. Bit of sharper delivery there from Rain.
Yeah, that was a good ball, wasn't it?
Tier on 17. Facing that delivery. The sun is glistening off the green stand in the far corner. And again, it looks like somebody's placed loads of fairy lights across the seats. Shining away nicely there. Presumably once the season's finished, that standard will be taken down, because it was originally put in place for the one-day international. Rain to Tier. Tier 4 to this one. Played up to Jones at mid-off. End of the over. Resistance from Sussex. 101 for 5.
Yeah, Sussex will be... We've got another 10 minutes to go until lunch. I wonder whether we will see a bit of Matthew Potts before the break. Seems unlikely now, doesn't it? It's still going to be Coughlin who's going to carry on, I'm sure. The two 18-year-olds out there having a natter, taking it, over by over. But I'm sure, let's see it through to lunch and see where we go from there. But it's something that's restored a bit of confidence and faith in the Sussex dressing room after what's not been a great first 3 days here at the Riverside, as in comes Coughlin running in and bowls to Coles, and Coles is going to get runs down to fine leg, and I think he's going to get 4 runs because the ball runs away. There was a howl from the bowl. In fact, they are leg buys. I thought James Coles got a bit of bat on that. There was a noise, but none the best. The ball just rolls down below us for 4 more runs. 105 for 5. Here in the sunshine on BBC Radio Sussex, BBC Radio Newcastle, Adrian Harms and Martin Emerson. On a day, a bit more cloud now building. I think that's to the north of the ground where we're looking directly now. There's a bit more cloud bubbling up now, but in the main it's lovely blue skies as Coughlin is on his way with 2 slips and bowls to Coles, who is forward foot right to the pitch of the ball and plays very straight to mid-off, and there is no run. It's been a feature of James Coles' innings. Defending off that front foot, he's faced 78 deliveries, 75 deliveries, Martin?
Yep, 75, yeah.
Thank you. I think my excuse is that scoreboard's a long way away, which it is.
192 the deficit.
Coughlin in bowls, and Coles up on his toes and was looking to play it onto the leg side. He was rather squared up, and the ball just runs down the middle of the track, and there is no run. The rest of the field, apart from the 2 slips, are a backward point, a cover mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket. The mid-wicket is fairly straight and fairly close, only 2 cut strips away from the wicket, and then there's a square leg who's slightly forward of square leg, and a fine leg Ben Rain away to our left hand side as Coughlin is in again, bowls, and Coles is forward and plays that to that fielder who's just in front of the umpire at square leg, who's Matthew Potts, and again there is no run. Slightly bigger crowd than I think we thought there'd be today, and those that have decided to come along in I would have thought 99% of the crowd here are Durham supporters who would like to see Durham win, but on the same token I'm sure they'd like to see a good day's cricket as well if they can. Certainly Sussex have taken it to the first stage, to lunch, as in comes Coughlin, and Coles plays to mid-wicket, and there is no run, fielded there by Liam Travaskis. Elsewhere around the country in the other games, just keep a quick eye on those. No more wickets have gone down at Glamorgan. Derbyshire 202 for 5, trailing Glamorgan by 95. Glamorgan slowly working their way through that Derbyshire batting lineup. Coughlin in again, bowls, Coles solidly forward to a ball, pitching round about middle and off, it just leans on that forward defensive, plays it into the offside, and there is no run. 5 overs, 1 maiden, no wicket for 18 for Paul Coughlin. We've got, by my watch, about 6 minutes or so to go until lunch. Leicestershire are 84 for 7 at Grace Road, needing another 191 to beat Middlesex. That would seem as if it's only a matter of time before Middlesex win that game. And in terms of the promotion from Division 2, it'll be all eyes on Cardiff. But in terms of relegation from Division 1, that is going to go to the final games next week. But Ben Rain is going to bowl the next over from this, the Lumley end.
You continue, Adrian. I'm just
yes, I can
doing
do so.
A report for the BBC.
In comes Rain and bowls, and Tier is forward to a ball of good length and punches that to mid-off. And there is no run, so the run rate has slowed. I don't think Sussex will be overly worried about that. This is all about defending as long as they can. Well, they want to pick up runs if they can, but the important thing is now little milestones, and I would have thought the milestone that they were thinking, don't get out. They won't want to face Grant Flower if they face a player rash shot 5 minutes from the break. Grant Flower, the Sussex batting coach, has worked really hard with these young Sussex players this season. In comes Rain and bowls to Tier, who's forward and plays firmly to mid-on. In the case of Charlie Tier, it's more working with Chris Adams down at Seaford College. I'm sure if Chris is watching, he'll be very pleased with the way that Charlie Tier has acquitted himself, both in this innings but perhaps more so on whatever day it was the game started, Tuesday, when the conditions really were in favour of the bowlers, with the lights on and heavy cloud cover all day and the ball moving around. And Ben Rain is a handful. Comes in now, bowls, and Tier again defends straight back down the track. Rain half fields of his own bowling but doesn't complete the fielding, and the ball just runs behind him, but there is no chance of a run. And the total remains on 105 for 5. Lumley Castle looking striking today in the sunshine. Some cotton wool clouds just drifting behind it. Back on the field, although Ben Rain even is working away on the ball and runs away from us. Sun shining brightly, he's in, and Tier clips this nicely through mid-wicket. Good diving stop at mid-wicket to bye. Can't see the fielder's got his back to me. Sean Dixon, and there is no run. Punched away by Tier. A ball pitching round about middle and leg, and it is another dot ball. 2 slips in place, a similar field to that deployed by Paul Coughlin from the Finkel end, with the 3 in the covers, 2 saving 1 on the leg side and 2 men set back as Rain is in. Bowls at Tier, who's forward defensively, head right over the ball, a model forward defensive shot played out into the covers, and there is no run. Tier remains on 17 of 46 deliveries. 48 deliveries. 48. He said without a lot of conviction, but he's certainly on 17. It's only because I'm looking in the distance and I can't quite make out the numbers on the scoreboard. 1 more ball to go in this over. I can see that from Ben Rain, who's bowled 5 maidens in his 13 overs and 5 balls. He's in and bowls to Tier, and Tier clips that one away down towards fine leg. It's running away, and it could run all the way for 4 runs. There's a good effort to stop the ball going for 4 runs. But Charlie Tier comes back for a 3rd. He goes to 20. Fine stop way down in the distance. I think that's Oliver Gibson, who's way down there chasing around the boundary. Prevented the 4th run being taken. And that is the end of the over, I suspect, with the clock showing 12:27 on the scoreboard away to our left hand side. That there is going to be 1 more over before lunch. Tier on 20, Coles on 29. These two coming together when Sussex were 76 for 5. So a partnership of 24 plus 8 is 32.
Stuart Dick's been on. He says, Marty, Adrian, I'm doing well. Have coverage of the Ironman World Championship,
Ooh.
the Heineken Champions Cup and Formula 1 on the agenda in the coming weeks for work. World Triathlon Championship Series heading to Sunderland in 2023, Marty. He says, yep. And this is defended by Tier. Won't be able to get off our estate. They had the British Championship there a few weeks ago, and I had to leave a day early to go down to Birmingham because I wouldn't have been able to get off the estate.
Really?
Yeah, because the triathlon was based on the just next to the marina where you've been.
Yeah.
And so all of our estate was closed for the running route, and the swimming was between the piers, and there was a run, and I think the run went round our estate, and the cycle ride along the seafront. Coughlin balls. Tier plays this up to mid-on. Stuart says, I played Rothwell on Saturday. 67 opening the batting and a win to end the season.
Oh, well done,
so
Stuart.
Did you mention Rothwell in
I think it's in the rhubarb triangle, yeah.
So there's Stuart getting 67 with his stick of rhubarb in his hand.
Yeah.
My nanny could have stopped that with a penny. Coughlin in. That's left alone. It rises up above the off stump.
That was a good leave. I just thought for a moment that was going to clip the top of the off stump, but
I think he had time to think. It was a bit of a shortish delivery, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's just wide of off stump, actually, looking at the replay.
Tier knew far better than I did.
Well, from a Sussex point of view, they've got to be pleased with their morning.
No,
in an ideal world, they wouldn't have lost any runs, but this is the chaos of 9 for 4 at the close of play yesterday. This is defended by Tier to this now 108 for 5, deficit of 189. Lots of people thought this would be over by lunch, but no, it's not a procession by any stretch of the imagination. Durham need to think tactically about how they're going to do this afternoon. Coughlin in, turned down the leg side, might go for 4. It is going to go for 4. Rain can't get round to it. Fine leg.
Just clipped away, wasn't he? He just straying down the leg side, and he was able just to tuck inside the line and clip that away for a boundary. Charlie Taylor, who's doing himself no harm at all here, is he? 26 in the first innings, 24 in the second.
Stephen Holmes has emailed. He says, I'm sitting in front of you at the Finkel end and watching the game and listening to the commentary. He said, I remember the Bangladesh match at Chesley Street. He said, from memory it was cold, it was early season. Would have been May time, I think. He said one visiting player in the field was wearing 2 or 3 sets of thermals. Keep up the good work. As Coughlin comes in and bowls, that's through to the keeper. And that will be lunch. 112 for 5. Deficit 185. Coles 29. Tier 24. And their partnership is worth 36 very useful runs. I'll just quickly finish his email. He says, I echo similar views to others on the 100. I sat watching Philadelphia seconds rather than the TV final. Stephen Holmes. Thanks very much for the email, Stephen. Right, that's a 40-minute break, so we'll be back with you at 1:10. And we may yet have plenty more cricket on this final day of the season with regards to games in Chesley Street this season. See you a little bit later.
My love of Spitfires came as a small boy going to air shows with Dad. Working on Spitfires is a huge responsibility, and the same applies at work.
The care and expertise Derek takes over his beloved Spitfire is the same precision, passion and attention to detail he takes helping you choose your next perfect car. Because at Virtue Motors, it's all in the detail.
We've always been good at designing niche products for consumers. So our thinking was, if we can use the same design skills on products which have got more volume, we'll be more successful. The big issue was the plan to do it. We set a figure of a capacity to make 250,000 pieces a year. That's an ambitious target, but that's our figure. So we then worked with the machinery designers to make the washing machines. Number one in this product, it's got to be reliable. A washing machine has a lot of hard work to do, and it's a very important part of most households. So reliability was a big issue. I think any new product, we've got to learn about it, and that's important. We've got to learn about it so we understand it inside out. And that's taken longer than we expected, but we've taken our time to make sure that it's right. There's a big appetite for buying British products, and rightly so, but we can't rely on that. We've got to make a product that competes with all the imports. And of course, remember, we've got our core business here of making domestic dehumidifiers and bottled water coolers and industrial dehumidifiers, so that takes our time, and we don't want to get this wrong. We've done 120,000 hours of testing washing machines here to make sure that it's absolutely reliable and does the job.
Yes, it's lunch here on this final day. I think a few people thought Durham would turn up this morning and roll Sussex over, but it hasn't been like that at all. And a reminder, they didn't get all the wickets they were looking for a few weeks back at the start of the season against Leicestershire here when they had a whole day. They only managed 2. This is a weakened and inexperienced Sussex side, but they've put up some resistance today because they started this morning at 9 for 4. By lunch, they're 112 for 5, so they still trail Durham by 185. But James Coles has got 29, Charlie Tier on debut 24, Tom Haynes the man to go out for 37, LBW to Ollie Gibson. And earlier today, Durham eventually confirming something that we'd all known for quite some time. They have now signed the wicketkeeper and batsman from Kent, Ollie Robinson, on a 3-year deal. He was here earlier in the season on a T20 loan spell. Welcome back to Chesley Street. Blue skies, a little bit of fluffy cloud. Simpson sky in front of me. Sunny day. At the moment, a gentle breeze from the north. And it was quite breezy this morning. Had a bit of a nip in the air, but a pleasant looking day now if you're in the sunshine. But it's not shorts and t-shirts weather generally. Just looking at the far end of the ground though, where people are sitting sheltered from that breeze, and they are all in t-shirts in the north stand. And the green temporary stand, quite a few in t-shirts there. The sun gleaming on the aluminium steps of that stand's very bright at the moment as it reflects back towards us from there. In the northwest corner of the ground in front of the health club. Oh, they are. Oh, there you are. They are. Quite a number of people in shorts and t-shirts over there, lapping up the rays. So a nice afternoon for the final day of county cricket on this ground this year. And we are told next season will not be changed. It will remain more or less as the structure of this year. One does wonder what we will come back to next year. a little bit chilly in here. The heating seems to have gone back on the aircon mode. So put the body warmer back on. So Durham looking for quick wickets here. It didn't happen this morning, just the one to fall. Haynes LBW to a Yorker from Ollie Gibson when he was on 37, but importantly having added 70 for the 5th wicket with James Coles. Coles has taken up a lot of time in the middle for his 29. This is the 80th ball he will have faced as rain bowls to him. It's turned to Dixon at short mid wicket. Dixon playing in his last game on this ground before he leaves at the end of this season to join Somerset next year. And if you missed it earlier today, news that Durham have now announced the signing of Ollie Robinson, the wicketkeeper batsman from Kent. We've known about this for quite some time, but the protocol was waiting for Kent to announce his departure, and they don't announce arrivals or departures during games apparently. So rain in, bowls. This has gone to Dixon once again, diving across to his right at short mid wicket to stop that one. Rain in, bowls. It's off the pads, they're shouting. The finger of doom is raised, and that is the end of Coles. He's faced 82 balls for his 29, and that is the end of the partnership as well, with Charlie Tier at 36. And Coles will head off. LBW to Ben Rain, another LBW for Ben Rain. That's the 4th of this innings for him. Don't really think it looked in much doubt. And they now trail by 185. And Adrian rejoins us.
Disappointing as it is.
I'm wondering, is that the last hope, Adrian? Is he walking off?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen enough of Fahim Ashraf batting, but he batted nicely in the first innings, and Jack Carson can bat as well. So I would say, you know, right down to Carson, they bat. I mean, he's got a high score, Jack, of 86, or 87, sorry, so he can bat. I think James Coles would just be disappointed. You've batted all morning, and it's this thing about concentration, isn't it? Maybe you've batted right. You can see the way he's virtually dragging himself off, because he might have felt he'd done the hard work, but you come out, you've got to reset, and that's the experience, isn't it? But I think he's shown enough in patches this season, James Coles. You would have thought in the Championship side that he's probably vying between himself and Delray Rawlins as who's going to play. But he's batted a long time. You know, he's got a solid defence, but he'll just feel he's missed an opportunity today to really stamp his authority all over that position in the team.
He's absolutely plumb in front there when I've frozen that one.
And you know,
the ball's pitched and then sort of nipped back towards off stump, but it's right in front of middle when it hits him.
And Ben Rain, you have to say, you have to be absolutely 100% concentration every ball against these guys. You know, Ben Rain is too good a bowler to do that. He's
got 4 for 54 now in 14.3 overs. He's bowling to Ashraf. This is defended on off stump.
And this is an important innings for Fahim Ashraf. He's come over for these 3 games. Didn't distinguish himself in the game at Hove last week, which I think I've said before this week you can forgive. It's not easy getting off a plane and running down the slope at Hove, and he only batted once. But if he is a serious contender for a place as an overseas next season, he's got to show why. And so this is important for him if this is going to be anything for next season.
Comes in and bowls. Ashraf turns out to short mid wicket. It's along the floor. In there is Bushnell, the 12th man. Who's Bushnell on for, Thorpe? Have you noticed? Potts? Where's Potts? Oh yeah, he's hiding under a massive hat. Ollie Gibson not on, is he not? Unless he's down at long leg. Rain in. defended. And that is the end of the over. A wicket maiden. I think that's his second wicket maiden.
Yeah. And that's what it's about, isn't it? It's about the experience of Ben Rain. He might have been in and had lunch, but the first over after he comes out, he's put the ball on a sixpence, and if you make a mistake, it's a hard environment to learn, and this is what the point that Grant Flower was making the other day. You get eaten out. You have to be absolutely concentrating, game aware, switched on. And James Coles have batted well this morning, so he'll be pleased, as will Tom Haynes with a welcome return to form, but both out LBW. And both out LBW. Well, Tom Haynes with LBW to Gibson, but he was absolutely plumb in front, was Tom. So it's not quite the end for Sussex, but it's a long way to survive for the next. What have we got up there, Marty? Is that? It's under
66 overs left, is it?
66 overs, yeah. So it's going to be Matthew Potts who's back into the attack. We wondered whether he might come in from the Lumley end before lunch, but he's getting a run out from the Finkel end. He's running in with the 2 slips. He comes in and bowls and let go by Tier outside the off stump, and there is no run. I keep saying it, what an experience though for an 18-year-old. It's your debut, you're coming out here, test match ground, international ground, an international bowler, real chance to get stuck in and show what you can do.
Well, it is a test match ground. It held plenty before that honour was stripped from them.
Yeah.
Still holds one-dayers and T20s.
Yeah. So, 2 slips. In fact, there's now going to be a 3rd slip, having said that. So the cover has been done away with. There's a cover point and a mid-off. And it is Sean Dixon who's come into 3rd slip. His final appearance on this ground before a move to Somerset as Potts is in bowls. And Tears beaten outside the off stump. But he didn't need to play at that. He left very well before lunch, but he's a little more searching maybe, with all due respect to Paul Coughlin and Oliver Gibson who were bowling at that end before lunch. Potts will ask plenty of questions.
Coggers isn't on, okay. Sunderland's match at Birmingham in November's been moved to a Friday night. It's going to be on TV, so it's now going to be Friday the 11th of November at 8 p.m.
Well, that's a trip for you to get there, Marty, on a Friday night. Comes Potts, bowls, and forward is Tier, plays to shortish mid-wicket, and there is no run.
I would imagine I'll be back in the office by then, Adrian.
Well, there'll be plenty who'll make the trip, though, won't they?
Oh, yeah.
Down to the Midlands.
I've got so much family lives around in and around Birmingham, Bromsgrove, and all that area.
Sorry, you have?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Loads of relatives down there now.
So, Matthew Potts running in for the Finkel end. 3 slips go down, bowling to 18-year-old Charlie Tier. He's in a bowl, short tip, pulls him away, and he's caught. What a catch that is!
How's that stuck?
I think that's Liam Travaskis in there at short mid-wicket. It was short. Initially, I thought it was a terrific shot by Charlie Tier.
What a
Liam
catch.
Travaskis has taken an absolute perler of a catch.
It was slammed at him, and it's so much so that it went so quickly he rolled over backwards. I was looking to see where the ball had gone to the boundary, and I thought he's done well to get out on the road of that, but it's hit him so hard it's stuck. That is an incredible catch.
Well, it is. I'd like to see that again, because that was tremendous.
Sadly, he's probably, because of the speed of the shot, he'll just be off camera shot when the catch happens.
But it was belted. I thought initially when Charlie hit it, I thought, good shot. But he's hit it in the air, he's caught at mid-wicket, and Charlie Tier is out for 26 in the first innings. He's gone, and Sussex have lost 2 wickets since lunch without the addition of a runner. We were talking about how long they could resist for. Well, I think this really is the last chance saloon now, with all due respect to Sean Hunt, who will come in at number 10. Charlie Tier gets a sympathetic round of applause. And the new man coming out will be Jack Carson, who's perfectly capable. In the first innings, he was not out, Jack, 25. But Durham have come out after the lunch break full of intent. They've picked up a couple of wickets. And you feel as if the end may not be that far away, although Carson and Ashraf will have other ideas. But what a catch by Travaskis. I mean, we may not get a chance to see it again. I mean, all I saw was the pull shot from Charlie Tier, and then Matthew Potts running down the wicket celebrating, and Liam Travaskis lying on his back. And I thought, he's caught that. So I can't tell you where it was or whether it went straight in his midriff or quite what.
And it just gone slammed into his hands. He was at short mid-wicket, wasn't he?
Great catch. So 2 wickets have gone down. Durham closing in on victory. Jack Carson does a bit of gardening. Those 3 slips are still in place. And Potts picks up his first wicket of the innings in his 10th over. Figures of 1 for 14. Some suggestions by Scott Borthwick of where the fielders might go here. They've brought up the deep backward square up to orthodox square leg. The fine leg is staying where he is. So I'll explain the rest of the field in a moment as Potts, actually it's the final ball of the over. 2 more balls to go, sorry, comes in and bowls to Carson, lets that go outside the off stump, no run. So there are 3 slips. There's a cover point and a mid off, a mid on. Liam Travaskis in at that short mid wicket position. He's only 2 cut strips away, that's how close he was. There's a backward square leg and a fine leg down here, just to our left hand side. There's Durham scenting victory in their final home match of the season on a glorious day here. Potts, who's out, what a season he's had. With all due respect, outside of Durham, not many people had heard of Potts, but they have now. Comes running in and bowls. Carson lets that go outside the off stump, taken by keeper Benjamin. It is the end of the over. 112 for 7. Ashraf and Carson both yet to score. So since lunch, 2 wickets have gone down. The wickets of James Coles for 29, Charlie Tier for 24, neither adding to their lunchtime score. And any faint hope Sussex may have gone have probably disappeared in the first couple of overs since lunch.
My mate Neil is not here at the minute. He went to the shops. But I said to him that wasn't quite the morning Durham were hoping for, but lunch is often a rude interruption to progress, and those batsmen would not have wanted to go off at lunchtime.
No.
Rain comes in and bowls, and they've lost 2 wickets in the first 2 overs. This is a dead leg by the looks of things for Ashraf. He's looking to play that down the leg side. And more importantly, Sussex lose 2 for none.
Yeah.
Rain round the wicket. Ashraf. Oh, that's a funny little loopy delivery. Ashraf rocks out the road of it, and it seems to slow on him, and then takes quite an age to loop around and into the keeper's gloves.
I don't know if it was an intended slower delivery, do you think, or
maybe. Mervyn emails. Good afternoon, Martin. Just enough to say thank you to you and your colleagues for being such great company over the season. I hope you all have a great winter. Thank you, Mervyn.
yeah, thank you, that's kind.
Rain comes in and bowls. Ashraf plays this to short mid-wicket to Travaskis. Swerving Mervyn, as he was nicknamed last week at Leicester. It was such a funny moment. One of the funniest moments in commentary I've had for a long, long
Go
time.
on, tell me more.
Well, he emailed to say, because he'd been quite a critic of Nick Maddinson, who hadn't been getting any runs, and Mervyn had been quite critical of his signing and the fact that he questioned whether he should be in the team, all the rest of it. He's an overseas signing, of course. Rain comes in and bowls, and that's a straight shot up to Potts at mid-off. And then Maddinson got to 50 at Leicester, and the email arrived, and Mervyn said, I wonder if this is Nick Maddinson's moment of atonement. And as I was reading the email out, he clipped it straight to second slip and got caught. So we blamed it firmly on Mervyn. Rain in, defended on off stump. And then later there was a wicket, and somebody emailed in and said, was that ball swerving or was it another Mervyn? So I'm just trying to work out where he'd be sitting today. I can't see his bowler hat anywhere. Ah, there he is. He's got his MCC Panama hat. Front row of the North stand there. Rain comes in round the wicket. Ashraf defends. And that is the end of the over. A maiden from Rain, 112 for 7, and Sussex are in a pickle.
They are. And as I say, these two are really the last two bats. We haven't seen enough really of Fahim Ashraf. He batted nicely in the first innings, but you really feel it's probably a matter of time. But as with others in this Sussex side, it's an opportunity, and I'm sure they'll be keen to make an impression, particularly Fahim Ashraf, who you'd have thought will play against Glamorgan next week, to impress those that make decisions. As in comes Potts and bowls to Carson. That's short. He really bent his back then, did Matthew Potts. The ball ballooned over the head of Carson through to Benjamin, and then Risner on. I have to say, I do like Potts' approach to the wicket, Martin. It's a very smooth, rhythmical approach. I don't know whether he'll play next week in the final game of the season. It's good to see him playing in this game. The Sussex bats may not agree. In comes Potts running in, bowls, and Carson gets a thick inside edge down to well, I thought it had made its way to fine leg actually, but it didn't. It must have been fielded at just backward of square leg, and there is no run. Neither Carson nor Ashraf have scored, and in fact Sussex haven't scored in the 20 balls since lunch, but they have lost 2 wickets. Still those 3 slips in place. Randy's been back in touch to say that the pictures are all okay. Sorry, I missed that a little earlier on, Randy, so that's good news. Here comes Potts, bowls. Carson is forward and plays that to third slip defensively, fielded by Dixon. And again, there is no run. It's a lovely afternoon here, lots of high-level clouds, real cotton wool clouds today around Durham. The sun is shining off the castle, and plenty of people having a wander around the ground at lunchtime. The ground staff are sitting in their deck chairs over on the far side and seats with their shorts on. Marty was saying it's going to get a bit chilly next week. Certainly in Nottingham. In comes Potts and bowls, and Carson drives. Rather flat-footed.
I think
to the offside, there is no run.
From the weather forecast I saw yesterday, which I tweeted last night, I think it's going to be chilly across the whole country.
Right, yeah. I think you might
even
be.
including you and your Lido with your dog.
Yeah.
You might have to be dug out of the ice.
Yeah, it might have to be. It might be a very quick swim for me if it's cold. We'll keep an eye on those other games going on in the County Championship as well. Just of interest to us is who's going to be playing in Division 2 next season. In comes Potts and bowls, and Carson with a play and a miss. That was a bit of a waft, to be honest, outside of the off stump. The ball goes through to keeper Benjamin, and there is no run. The game at Glamorgan, looks like Derbyshire are hanging on down there, Glamorgan are starting to run out of time. Derbyshire 228 for 5. Leicestershire are hanging on a bit as well at home against Middlesex. They're 103 for 7, but you would have thought Middlesex just needing those 3 more wickets and loads of time. If Middlesex, Leicester still needing 172 to win. Middlesex win, Glamorgan don't. I think that's pretty much it, and Middlesex and Notts will be into the First Division next season. In comes Potts, bowls, and Carson eases that down between gully and point. Picks up a couple of runs, so Jack Carson is on his way, and Sussex to 114 for 7. The first run since lunch conceded by Matty Pott off the 24th ball since the interval. And just for the record, Derbyshire 228 for 5, so trail Glamorgan by 69. So I think a new ball may be due there shortly, and that could be the key to the game. Yeah, 9 overs to the new ball, so that may well be the key to that game. And in the First Division, it looks very much like Somerset will be safe because they're going to beat Northamptonshire, who are 74 for 6 in their second innings, still trailing, or still needing, I should say, another 388 runs to win that match. I think Somerset safe, Warwickshire, Kent and Yorkshire fighting to avoid relegation with Gloucester.
Rain round the wicket. That's pulled by Ashraf off to, I don't know where that's gone. Where is it?
Got down the
down
fine
the long leg.
Yeah.
1 run. Lost it in the sunshine there. Rain, right arm over, balls. Played out into the cover area and cut off by Coughlin. Dot ball. It's announced on our news bulletins at lunchtime. It's Freshers Week in Sunderland and Newcastle and various other places. In Durham, certain bars are going to breathalyse students who look like they might be a little bit overly intoxicated before allowing them in. What times we live in. 115 for 7, and that's gone down the leg side. And a very polite inquiry from Ben Rain there, inquiring to the umpire as to what's the perchance of that maybe being an LBW, sir. And the umpire said no. Just flicked the thigh pad on the way down. In comes the bowler. Just a little flick of the bat there. It's gone off down a fine leg and it's going to go for 4. Far into the ground it does. Worries in northeastern Canada because Hurricane Fiona is forecast to move towards Canada in the next day or so and is expected to bring a significant storm surge for coastal areas. Only a few tropical systems have made landfall as hurricanes in Atlantic Canada since 1944. And there was one in 2021 according to the Met Office, Hurricane Larry. Rain bowls, and that's played out into the covers, no run there for Carson. And there were suggestions it could be one of the worst hurricanes to hit Canada. Mervin's been back on. He says, I've been blamed for worse, Martin, after more than 25 years on the bench. As a magistrate, I've become immune to being cited. I nonetheless enjoy the banter. Rain over the stumps this time. Pushed away short on the leg side. 1:30 on this Friday afternoon. Your guess is as good as mine as to how long Sussex will remain out there, how much more resistance they can put up, but either way they're going to be hitting rush hour on the motorways at some point today. Fridays are a nightmare these days. And on our travel bulletin just a few moments ago, Dunstan interchange. A lorry has shed a load of cement on the A1 southbound, so this is around the Dunstan interchange, Wickham to the Coalhouse roundabout, just before the long climb up through the roadworks at the gates at Angel. Start of a new over from Potts, defended by Ashraf. Comes round the stumps to ball to him from the Lumley end. Ashraf goes for a little walk after playing it. It's reopened now, and travel time through there around about 20 minutes at the moment. Potts balls. Ball's gone towards backward point. Dot ball. Potts to Ashraf, who's on 1 from 12 balls. Plays this towards square leg and will get a single. Dixon comes round from mid-wicket to field it. Sussex 100 and 20 for 7. They trail by 177. Durham looking to wrap up their 3rd victory of the season, 2nd in back-to-back matches. Next week might be a slightly different kettle of fish against the Notts side, who ran right through them here fairly easily in 3 days in April, and have hopes of winning the title as well in Division 2. Potts right arm over, 3 in the slip cordon, and he's bowling to Carson. Oh, that stayed low, that stayed very low. Carson did ever so well to keep that out. He got to it late, toe of the bat, played it down in front of the stumps, and it went, thankfully from his point of view, away from the target. It's incredible, it really is incredible. The noise of your report, amazing. Because you're such a placid lad normally, and then you just get overly excited when they give you your big moment, don't you? Your 30 seconds of fame. Potted balls. Defender has gone off to what's it covers. No run there. In case you were wondering who that was shouting in the background, it was Adrian.
I do like coming up here.
Oh, where have you gone? You've turned yourself right down.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, and I'm quiet. You see.
Yeah.
I just like to stand enthusiastic.
It's the clean air. It just gets to you, doesn't it? Gives you a little head spin.
Oh dear. Sorry.
Carson's just taking his time here before he takes his guard. Got 3 slips, backward square leg, short mid-wicket, and he plays this one up wide of mid-off, and it's collected by Maddinson in the covers. Right, David Griffin, the Derbyshire statistician, with his database, Adrian. These are the stats he's just sent me. There's too much cricket these days is the mantra. Derbyshire in 1991 had 72 scheduled days of cricket across the varying competitions.
How many?
72.
Okay.
They bowled 10,048 overs in those scheduled days. Last year they had 56 scheduled days. So there's a drop there straight away. And they bowled 6,816 in all formats. So they bowled last year 3,232 overs fewer than they did in 1991. And there's too much cricket.
Here comes Ben Rain, bowls to Jack Carson, who flashes that away through backward point for 4 runs. A rare bad ball from Ben Rain, wide of the off stump, and Jack Carson have been waiting for that, and he goes into double figures. He's on to 11. Sussex to 125 for 7. Carson and Ashraf will be... Well, you can just... I mean, Sussex are in a desperate position here. I mean, they're effectively 125 for 8.
Yeah, I was just trying to sort of second guess which traffic jams you're going to be stuck in on the way home, but you're going on the train, aren't you?
Well, I'm going on the train, yes. I feel quite pleased about that now, Marty, actually, because this time on a Friday.
Yeah.
Here comes Rain and bowls. Carson is forward, sort of digs it out back down the track, and there is no run.
Aren't there more strikes this weekend? Is tomorrow?
There was
next week.
There was a strike last weekend because the Brighton game was called off, not because of the events around the Queen, but because of the rail strike, and they were playing Crystal Palace.
Mm-hmm. They were like 30 miles away. Meanwhile, Sunderland fans drove 270 miles to Watford.
In comes Rain, running over the wicket, bowls, and driven by Carson, nicely driven to mid-off, fielded by Travascus, and there is no run.
I noticed the cricket writers' lunch, end of season, there's a strike the day after.
Is there?
Yeah, so...
you go up and back in the day?
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be an early start, Martin. What time train will you be on?
I'll be on the milk train, Adrian.
What, there and back?
The night before.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so you'll come the night before and then try...
No, well, it was just a joke, but you missed it.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I'll be sitting.
I can't get used to this northeastern humour. Hey,
I'll be sitting among the creamy top.
In comes Rain and bowls, and he's straight. Yes, he's bowled him. Carson is on his way, and that will almost certainly be it. Another wicket for Ben Rain, a 5 in the innings. Well bowled, Ben Rain. He's been excellent in this match. Jack Carson goes. Look, he was playing across the line to me. He's been bowled. always sells his wicket dearly. Jack Carson, he'll be annoyed to have gone out, but he's on his way. 5 for 54, excellent figures from Ben Rain, and that really is the last chance for Sussex.
How many fifers is that now for Ben Rain? Probably haven't got it written down. No, this is 12th. That's his second for Durham.
So Jack Carson goes, and Sean Hunt is the new man who comes out. He will be the last man for Sussex because Henry Crocombe will not bat, and he comes out. Fahim Ashraf comes walking over, but it's now a forlorn hope for Sussex, who since lunch have lost 3, 4, 13. Yeah.
So what, they're behind 172.
Yeah. Hunt. There we go. Makes his way out to the middle. Would you like to take over the comms, Marty?
I can do.
As it looks as if this Durham victory could come at any moment. As these two had 150 for the last week. And Marty's on commentary for the next 3 hours.
Yeah, Hunt just taking his guard.
Well, they obviously think he likes to play the ball on leg side, 'cause they've got that deep square out there as well.
Balls and played to the cover area.
I agree that he always looks a better batsman than he's given credit for, Sean Hunt, but I think this is even for him, this is a pretty desperate situation. He said he gets into line. He got hit in the first innings, didn't he? Was that this week or last week? This week. Hit on the back of the helmet, didn't he?
Yeah, it was this week, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because the physio came out to have a look. It was a sort of glancing blow, really.
Yeah, it was. It was. Yeah, and he was okay.
Rain comes in and bowls. And now, heard the inside edge there. They all heard it, didn't they? They all went up and then they all stopped. End of the over. Well done, Ben Rain, who has figures of 5 for 54 from 18 overs.
Jack Carson made 11. And that wicket going down 125 for 8. So, I wonder what the two bats say when you're in this position. You're having a natty. I mean, you're effectively 125 for 9. You're 172 behind. There's
I can't tell you what they've just been saying.
60 overs remaining.
Which traffic jam do you think we're going to get stuck in?
Yeah,
on
lots.
Friday,
That is going to take a long time from here back to Hove on a Friday night. That is going to be a long, long old trip.
Bus driver will have to stop at least once.
Well, he will. That's the other thing. Yeah, you will.
Potts round the wicket from the Lumley end. That's a short one, and Ashraf looks to hook and plays and misses. Keeper takes it down the leg side.
I thought for a minute you got a little nick on that, but well, they've dominated this game, Durham, haven't they? You know, we said earlier on today that Sussex didn't have the best of the batting conditions on the first day, but Durham bowled really well. They exploited the conditions and really sealed the game on the second day.
Potts once more, balls. Ooh, skips through low. Batsman goes back into his crease there, plays and misses.
Matthew Potts is in a hurry and he's running back to his mark.
Yeah.
Look at him.
What's the over rate? Oh, it's not -2, is it? Is that -2? Oh no. Still haven't heard how many points they're going to lose for Batgate, if any, and they could be losing points here as well for a slow over rate. Comes in and bowls. Ashraf pulls, and it's gone out through deep mid wicket for 2. And the problem here Durham have is that with one less wicket to take, there's less chance to perm that over rate back.
I wonder whether they might stick Travaskis on for a couple of overs just to. But I mean, there is, I mean, that could be adjusted though, unless that's done on an over by over basis. Often it's done at the end of the session, isn't it? But you're assuming that's all it is.
Potts in, played back away from him to.
That was a full toss, I think. Well, Sussex have been deducted points at Lords and at Trent Bridge for a slow over rate. if there's any consolation.
Durham lost some last year at Edgbaston in a game where neither first innings finished because of the weather, which I found remarkable. Potts balls flicked away. That's gone out through deep mid wicket, and it's away for 4 runs. Nice shot played off the legs.
Well, he's a test player, Fahim Ashraf, and he's certainly shown with the bat that he's more than useful. He made 33 in the first innings and played some nice looking shots and was out hooking in the end off a top edge. He was caught. But I'm not sure that's what Sussex... I think Sussex would expect more in the bowling department.
What's his highest score?
In a test, I think it was 90 odd, Martin.
105 he's had. Faisalabad again. The Batterbad in 14. He's had 2 centuries. And he made 160 on his debut for Faisalabad against Multan in 2013.
So he's more than useful coming in at number 8. But if they're looking to improve the over rate, they're just taking their time. Potts was back at his mark a long time ago.
He comes in, he bowls. That's defended by Ashraf. It bounces out into the covers and it's taken by Travaskis, who sprints across the stumps at this end. And is he going to have a bowl here?
I think he is.
He is. They've spotted the over rate and they've suddenly got concern in their minds. He quickly hands his cap to the umpire. Going to bowl in his sunglasses.
He may not want to take a wicket here. Just to rattle through the over.
I wonder what Scott Borthwick's just said to him there. Just bowl wide of the stumps.
Yes, right. Yeah, we don't want a wicket.
Doug Rain says sadly couldn't make it today. Again, excellent coverage. I endorse previous comments. Thank you. I too have been critical of Maddinson, like Mervyn, and his overall performances. Comes Travaskis. This is defended. It's a full-length delivery set in there. Doug believes it's no coincidence that Durham are on the verge of another victory following the departure of James Franklin, he says. In comes the bowler. That's gone off towards backward. Square leg for no run. With no game tomorrow, he says, I'm off to South Shields to watch Super Kev's Claret and Blues. I think they're playing Arnold Colliery's or something. Or Atherton Colliery's from Nottinghamshire, I think now. It's a dot ball, just played short mid-wicket. Travaskis again comes in and bowls to Hunt. Hunt defends once more. That's 4 dot balls. Left arm round. Hunt plays this to Borthwick at mid-wicket. 1 ball to go, it's a maiden. If he gets a dot ball here, and I'm quite happy for Adrian to interject and jump back in. I really am. As Travaskis bowls, this has gone towards square leg, and that is a maiden over. And he's grabbed his cap and he's away.
Yeah, so he's racing through the overs. Maiden over in about 50 seconds, I reckon. Derbyshire have lost 3 quick wickets at Glamorgan, so there is going to be something on the game at Hove next week because Glamorgan look like they're going to beat Derbyshire. Derbyshire 235 for 8, still trailing Derbyshire by 62. So a Glamorgan win means they come to Hove next week. We'll have to see what happens with the Middlesex Leicestershire game, but Leicestershire are sort of hanging on there, remarkably.
Hey, there's a Yorkshire Terrier dog cloud. Look at that.
Isn't
it?
Here comes Potts, bowls to Ashraf, who eases that down to final. They've taken 1, they'll think about coming back for a second. The throw comes in, he could be struggling here, Ashraf. The throw comes in, but he gets back for 2. He's quick, isn't he, between the wickets? I feel like there's Sean Dixon. What happened there? Did someone lose his cap or his glasses? Who's that down there? Michael Jones. Anyway, the throw came in, but it's 2 more to Ashraf. I've pinched the commentary, haven't I? He goes to 10.
Pluto. Yeah.
Comes Potts again, bowls, and Ashraf looks to play that on the leg side. Ball drops down in front of him, very obligingly throws the ball to Travaskis. What's that over 8 showing now, Marty? It's still showing -2. Yeah, Colin Ackerman is holding up Middlesex at Grace Road. He's 67 not out. So in comes Potts and bowls, and Ashraf drives through the covers, and that's going to go away for at least a couple. It could make it all the way to the boundary. Travaskis in hot pursuit, but he's not going to get there. Oh, please don't dive like that. We've already had one dislocate, one bad shoulder injury. In fact, it's gone for 4. Well, 10 out of 10 for the fielder chasing. I'm not sure that's...
Was that Gibson?
Well, he
threw himself at it, but
Yeah,
he couldn't
he did.
stop it hitting the rope.
lovely shot by Ashraf. He goes to 14 and Sussex to 137 for 8.
Angus, who got the train down from Perth the other day, you remember?
Yes.
He's back at work now.
Is he?
He said, sadly I'm back at work today, trying to listen to your wonderful commentary, but in an area of dubious internet signal, so you're coming and going.
In comes Potts, bowls to Ashraf, who's back and pulling that. That's a good shot. That's gone through wide. He should wicket for 4 runs. So I think we can say that Fahim Ashraf has showed his batting credentials for Sussex, both in the first innings and the second innings here. He looks a more than useful number 8. But just to reiterate, I'm not sure that's, Sussex were looking for more in the bowling department. He's got he'll have a chance next week at Hove, but I'm not sure we've seen enough so far. What were his bowling figures in this innings yesterday? We're 1 for 91 in 20 overs.
It's not been the best of trials, has it?
No, and last week down at Hove was worse than that. In comes Potts and bowls, and Ashraf clips that to or through square leg and picks up a single. He goes to 19. 11 off the over so far. Yeah, down at Hove last week he bowled 18 overs, 1 for 120. I think you're expecting a bit more.
Angus says, I really enjoyed my 3 days in Chester Street despite the rain and the nightmare journey home. I got talking to a guy during the rain, and it turns out he'd come down on the train from Edinburgh, and he's just about convinced me to get a Durham membership next year. Thanks again for the wonderful commentary. Look forward to hearing all about your tour of Scotland by rail and the ferry next season. Yeah, he had me going to the Outer Hebrides via Canada, I think it was, wasn't it?
Here comes Potts, bowls to Hunt, who plays a full toss into the outside. Last ball of the over, and they decide not to take a single. And I think Liam Travaskis, therefore, will bowl another over from this the Lumley end.
In this overcrowded county season, which is shorter than it's ever been, where William asks the question, why does the county system need a reduction when no England players actually play in it? Which is a good point. There's 1 or 2 on show this week. There's too many international matches and too many franchise tournaments. That's the real issue. The issue is not the amount of cricket played in England. It's the franchises and people flitting off all around the world. Guns for hire. 142 for 8. Trail by 155. Travaskis bowls. Ashraf forward to this one. Defends. It's a left-hander facing the left armour here from the Finkel end. Left arm over. Travaskis in his white rimmed glasses bowls again. A little bit of drift on that one. That's defended once more, and it rolls out to Borthwick in the covers. Durham got maximum batting points, didn't they, and 3 bowling points, so they got 8 bonus points from the game. This is played back to Travaskis. So 24 for the match, possibly minus. Oh, has it gone to 0? Is it still -2?
Still -2.
Still -2. It might not change while they're on the field.
Sussex have taken 2 points in the match. Oh, well, actually, maybe not that many.
8-4. Durham got up to 184, but they might lose a few because of that bat incident. So there's still nothing being said about that, which I find remarkable. Oh, a little bit of half tracker there as Ashraf came down the pitch and then changed his mind at the last moment.
Yeah, Sussex will take 2 points from the match. That's all.
In comes Travaskis, flicked out towards short mid-wicket, a throw at the stumps on the turn from mid-wicket by Potts, no run there.
He's doing his best to farm the strike here, isn't he, Ashraf? He's left just Hunt just the one ball to face.
Round the wicket he comes. Hunt plays the ball into short extra cover to Potts, end of the over.
143 for 8. Call that 9, as we keep on saying. No Henry Crocombe. 56 overs remaining in the day. Durham lads just hurrying on, trying to not lose points for slow over 8. It's going to be Potts who's going to carry on. He's going to be bowling to Fahim Ashraf, who's made 20 off. Is that 29 or 29 deliveries? 29 deliveries. And he's played some nice shots as well. He's a test batsman, or test player. and certainly in his 2 innings, he's looked a decent cricketer, more than decent. In comes Potts and bowls, short, pulled away by Ashraf, and he's going to get a single out to deep mid-wicket. They've taken one, they're going to come back for a second. Sean Hunt will need to get his skates on if he's going to get back. In fact, the throw came to the striker's end, and Ashraf comes through for a couple of runs. 145 for 8. I feel like we're in the dying embers here, but Ashraf is just sort of giving a glimpse of what he might be able to do. Still the 2 slips in place. The field is now far flung. They're allowing him the single. It's Potts in again and bowl. Short, pulled away by Ashraf, and he's not going to take the single. Pulled out to deep mid-wicket. So in terms of the field, there's a fine leg, a deep backwards square, a deep mid-wicket. All on the fence. There's a mid-on Ben Rain who's kind of halfway back. Then there's a mid-off allowing the single. Sweeper on the cover boundary and a deep backward point. So there's single right around the ground. And 2 slips in place as well as Potts is in. Bowls, and Ashraf pulls onto the leg side, and he only just eluded Ben Rain. The ball's going to run away for a couple of runs. Was that far away from Rain? I lost track of the ball.
It wasn't far, yeah. He was diving and it's just out of his grasp.
Ashraf to 24. He's got a licence here just to play a few shots. Now the field ball come in because Matthew Potts has had enough of this, and he says, let's bring the field in, let's not allow him the single. So a slip has come out, so they've kept the 3 men out, but Scott Borthwick has come out of slip into mid-wicket. Saving one? Yeah, I would say that's one saving. And the covers have come in as well. Potts in, bowls right up in the block. That's a good delivery. Right up in the block hole. Nothing much Ashraf could do about that. 2 balls remaining in the over. So 3 men saving one on the offside. Backward point cover and a mid-off. The slip is still in place. Then a mid-on who's on just about on the 1, I reckon, Ben Rain. Mid-wicket similarly Borthwick, but then 3 men back on the leg side. There's racing in his Potts, bowls right up in the block hole again. Ashraf plays that spot. Now I'd imagine these deeper fielders may well take even closer order here. Here we go. Scott Borthwick says, right, everybody up. And then we can have an over at the number 10 batsman, who is Sean Hunt. So everybody come up. Yeah, save the fine leg. He was always, say, down here on the boundary to our right hand side. Might as well bring the fine leg up as well, really, you'd have thought, but he's going to stay on the fence. In comes Potts, bowls. Ashraf with a swing and a miss. Well, he was trying to hit that one out of the ground up towards Longley Castle, and he missed out. So well bowled, Potts.
Slower ball, took the pace right off that one.
Good bit of bowling, and it means that Sean Hunt is going to have to face a hole over. Now the over rate is still showing as -2. Is it going to be Travaskis still? Oh, yes, it is. I wonder whether they might just stick a load of fielders around the bat here. Let's see.
That's interesting. There's a few umbrellas up on the far side of the ground, but I think it's more for protection from the sun than anything else, because it's not raining.
No.
Travaskis. That's in the air, but it's safe and it's away down towards the boundary in front of our commentary position. Jones chases it. It's gone for 4. He got a hand on it, but he slid off the pitch and the ball kept rolling.
Yeah. Makes me wince every time in this game I've seen someone chase the ball to the boundary. I thought, oh, don't do that. After Henry's accident, 150 out, which is the applause.
154.8. Okay, after that, that's pulled out through deep mid-wicket for 4 more by the looks of things. Quite effortlessly by Hunt. This is the last pairing, remember, because Crocombe can't bat, so wicket falls here, that is it. They are still 142 behind as well in their second innings, so Durham looking for an innings victory. Travaskis to continue round the wicket. 2 4s in a row here. He bowls. Hunt drives. Stopped at short extra cover by Potts. Bounces out of his hands and comes to pick it up and just checking his fingers as he does. Well, tomorrow afternoon's action as Travaskis bowls again here. Ooh, playing a miss. It's gone through. Pops off the keeper's. Did the keeper take the bails off? They bounced off his pad, I think. Yeah, you're going to be in the Lido.
Yeah.
There's Travaskis bowls. This is defended. I think I'm off to a scarecrow festival.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yes. On a scarecrow trail. Slightly different.
Yeah.
This is flicked away, short extra cover, no run there, end of the over. Another quick one from Travaskis, 2 fours from it, and then 4 dot balls. 155 for 8, trail by 142. Gareth Barker says, I don't disagree with the majority of the points on the Strauss review. However, I wouldn't say comparing how much county cricket is played now to the early 90s is a true barometer of far too much cricket. Given, like you said, rightly or wrongly. Well, I think it's a very good pointer as to how much is too much cricket when they're playing far less now than they did before. 3,232 overs a season less if you don't get into the knockout stages.
Here comes Potts, bowls to Ashraf, who pulls it onto the leg side and decides again not to take the single.
I think another thing, basically this season, I added up, if you don't get out the group stages, you're scheduled to play 80 days of cricket across 3 different formats, and not every player plays every day of every competition. Some of them don't feature in some of the formats at all.
Back to his mark is Potts. On his way, bowls. Ashraf pulls onto the leg side. It's going to go for 4 runs, I think. The 2 fielders down below has prevent the ball going for a boundary, but Ashraf picks up a couple. He goes to 26. Short delivery pulled down to fine leg.
Dixon, I think it was it?
Yeah, I think he's hurt himself slightly, actually. Just wringing his right hand.
I think one of the things that really does your head in towards the end of the season, and we're not playing, we're just commentating, but it is the travelling, the motorway miles and the endless nights in hotels. And every year now, by the time I get to September, as soon as the nights started drawing, I just think, right, I'm done.
And comes again, pulls down to fine leg. He's going to get caught down below us by Michael Jones, and that is that.
An innings and 139.
Faheen Afrash is gone. He's caught at fine leg. Good catch by Jones. A wicket for Matthew Potts. The players shake hands. Ashraf is on his way for 26. It's been inevitable since Sussex lost those wickets after lunch. So Durham convincingly win, and a well-deserved win, because then they've been the better side throughout this game. Some brief resistance from Sussex this morning in the shape of Haynes, Tier and James Coles, but it was always going to be an uphill battle. And all we can say is well done, Durham. A thoroughly deserved win, and a convincing win as well.
Well, that has come right on 2 o'clock on the news, and I can't hear output, so I'm going to have to quickly ring the studio.
Okay.
Because they need to come to me.
Okay, I'll natter away, Martin, just until when we'll go and get some reaction. Just to run through that Sussex scorecard today. Tom Haynes, the first man to go. LBW to Oliver Gibson for 37. A partnership between he and James Coles was worth 70. Then more resistance from young Charlie Tier, who came about it very nicely. He made 24. And they got Sussex through to lunch on 112 for 5, but then wickets falling regularly since lunch. Both Coles and Tier. I'm going to ring off because Martin's going to come back in.
Yes, Durham have just won here because Sussex, they only had 9 wickets to play with today because of injury to one of their batsmen. So Durham have just bowled them out effectively for 157, and they win this one by an innings and 139 runs. So having waited 123 days for victories in the county championship between their win in mid-May against Glamorgan and the win last week against Leicestershire, they've then made it 2-2. 1 game to go next week at Notts. The man who did the damage with the ball today was Ben Rain, who took a 5-wicket haul, his 12th in his career, and eventually finished with 5 for 54. But Sussex all out for 157, and Durham winning this one by an innings and 140 runs. Well, there you are. Victory for Durham.
Yeah.
In innings in 140. I'd taken a run off thinking it was a one-day when it wasn't.
Just remains for me to say, Marty, always good to see you. Thank you for being as welcoming as ever. Good luck for the rest of the season. Good luck during the winter months. We'll see you again in the second division next season. I don't think that's going to change. And well played, Durham, in the end of the day.
Yes, right. Well, we'll go off and get reaction, which you can hear on BBC Radio Newcastle and BBC Radio Tees later on, and indeed on BBC Radio Sussex, and try and see if I can get hold of Marcus North and see what Durham's official line is with regards to these planned changes, or proposals to change the structure of county cricket. A reminder, this evening I'll be doing a piece into the Total Sport show on that, which starts at 6 o'clock on Radio Newcastle. I'd imagine that'll be something like 7:30, around about there. Thanks for all the messages this week. It's been great to hear from you, and all that remains to say is this marks the end of my 23rd season of covering Durham matches on this ground. Still a week to go, a match to come at Notts next week, and still plenty to play for with regards to Notts, who are looking to try and tie up the championship and get back up to Division 1. That one begins on Monday. It'll be myself and Dave Bracegirdle bringing you the commentary there at 10:30 start, if the weather allows, because of course it is the wet Midlands. You never quite know what can happen there. But a great win for Durham, this one. They've done well in this game. They had to wait today. They had to work for their victory, and eventually Sussex all out after how many overs was it? They batted their way to 48.3 overs before they eventually finished on 157 for 9, and Henry Crocombe unable to bat. See you later. Thanks very much. Goodbye.